Alright, let's try this. Hello everyone. Let's see here. Alright. Hello everyone, it is I, Select Surgery Cross at the Vtuber Bureau. Here with Fate Stay Night. That's right. You know, I've always been more of a Fate Zero type of person. Yeah, watch Fate Zero first, then I'm learning to believe works. We can't argue that, yes. The visual novel itself is always the better choice. Hey Rox, how you doing? You're just in time for this? Stream of Fate Stay Night. I wonder, how big of a Fate fan are you? I can't forget if I ever asked. The tip of the sword was like a flash of lightning. A spearhead thrust to skewer the heart. Even attempting to evade it was pointless. It was but a flash, too swift for the human eye to follow. And yet, moonlight swept in to save me. From the strike that threatened to end me. The sound was beautiful, like the tolling of a bell. No, truth be told, the sound hung over me, heavier than an iron weight. This beauty had little to do with aesthetics. The stark armor wrapped about her was like the frozen night itself. The ringing was not itself pleasant. It was the sound of steel. But the night herself was beautiful enough to make it into the chiming of a bell. Saber! Watashi wa ai master da. Her voice resonated in the darkness. Unmei da. Indeed, the pact was sealed. Just as she chose to serve me, I'm sure, in that moment, that I swore to save her. The moonlight cut through the darkness. As if in imitation of the night, the storehouse regained its former calm. Time had stopped. The vision before me had lasted less than a second. Be that as it may, I will always remember the sight of her, as clearly as it were still happening now, even if I fall into the depths of hell. The faint slant of her profile, her serene, divinely green eyes. For a moment, time stopped, and her silhouette draped in blue swayed in the wind. I was struck by the pale blue glow. Her hair, as fine as golden thread, was bathed in moonlight. It's the first part of Fate. You know, I kind of wish I had a beam that could just erase my memories. Experience this for the first time without having any spoilers. I bet Shiro would like one too. Just erase his trauma. This happened 10 years ago. I see someone who takes me back. He's tall, with chiseled features. I've never known him to crack a joke. He ruffles his hair affectionately. No, that's not what this is. It's more like he's grasping my head and working it like a stubborn jar lid. Maybe he doesn't know how to control his strength? That's only to be expected. It's the first time he's ever done something like this. It's time for me to leave. You know what to do next. I answered yes in a somewhat voice. He nodded once, withdrew his hand, and stood up. That's all. Had I known this would be the last time we would ever see each other, I would have done my best to make him laugh with a perfect joke. I've been practicing punchlines in private, in the hope of finally seeing a smile crack that stony face. Wait a minute. Yeah? If I have one regret, it's that I never got to tell him any of my jokes. Hey, it's Rin. Get the association in your depth before you become an adult. Any decisions after that, I leave it up to you. I'm sure you'll manage on your own. So he said, but I bet he was worried about me. He told me about our family's heirloom jewels, the gems passed down to us from our grandmaster, and how to manage the underground workshop. It was a rapid-fire course of subjects he'd never taught me before. Even as a child, I realized that he would probably never come home again. Yeah. There was a war. Not a war between countries, but between people. But in this war, there were only 7 combatants. It might have seemed fitting to call it a war, but having mages involved changes things. 7 mages from different factions competed, but I wasn't sure why. They killed each other using methods I didn't really understand. One of them was a man in front of me. It meant that he would kill, and eventually be killed. I'm sure he felt like the ticking of his life's clock even more keenly than I did. Rin, before long, the Holy Grail will appear. It is the duty of the Tosakas to obtain it, but above all, it is a path that we are destined to walk as mages. And with that, he ruffled my hair one last time and left. I never saw him again. My father/teacher was one of the masters who participated in the Holy Grail War. He never came home. I bid him farewell, as a well-behaved daughter should. I knew I was on the verge of tears, but I didn't let him show. I loved him, and he was a great father, an even greater mage. Mages are stubborn people. As far as I knew, there wasn't a more upsetting man in the whole world. As my instructor, he trained me. As my father, he loved me. So I decided I'd accept the things he left for me, and chose my own path. Rin, before long, the Holy Grail will appear. It is the duty of the Tosakas to obtain it. But above all, it is the path we are destined to walk as mages. In the end, his final words for me were given as a mage, not a father. That's the moment I made up my mind. Aw. It's only natural for an apprentice to live up to her master's hopes. That's how I, Rin Tosaka, grew up after experiencing life's twists and turns. It's been 10 years since my father went off to war. I wouldn't say I've been looking forward to this day, but I'm a bit on edge. That goes without saying, after all. That moment which burned into my memories 10 years ago will soon be upon me again. January 23rd, 2004. I was probably like 5 years old. I hear something. It's just like the start of Hosukai no Yoru. Ring ring. Wake up! Your phone is ringing. The noise doesn't stop. It's such an infernal racket. It's almost as if it's here to avenge my father. What? No, wake up. You gotta go to mage school. I wish it had just let me sleep a bit more. In fact, it should. I stayed up early hours deciding for my father's will, and I used a hell of a lot of magic energy to do it. I'm totally exhausted, body and mind. Have you heard that Honkai Star Rail is making a Fate World? Yes. Wait, it's a world? I thought it was just an event or something. The alarm clock is deaf to my complaints. What kind of machine makes a noise that seems like its sole purpose is to remind you that you're late? Yeah, but I'm playing Star Rail again just to make sure I can get that. Be ready for that collab. I want Archer. I know we're getting Archer, but who else? True, but there's a time and place for everything. No matter how much of an overachiever I am, I should try to make it to school on time, at least for today. If only slightly. She's just like me. Just another 30 minutes, please. Hmm? Doesn't that sound off? I peer at the alarm clock through sleep-heavy eyelids. The hands point to 7 o'clock on the dot. I usually get up at 6:30, which means I completely use up my safety margin. Speaking of which, why is my brain so slow in the morning? She's so late. I glare at the alarm clock for several seconds. I shut off the alarm and climb sluggishly out of bed. Someone's late. Chikaku, chikaku. Or is she late? Oh, 7. In 3 months, summer 2025. Holy shiz. The morning chill bites at me as I cross the hallway and enter the parlor. This is the final 7 a.m. in January. Winters for Yuki are relatively warm, but the mornings here are as cold as anywhere. Even at home, my breath mist white. It's that much colder without anyone else living here. I turn on the heater and go wash up. Single living is so inconvenient at times like these. If there was someone else here to wake up before me, then the parlor would already be heated. If only she could afford to help. I wash my face at the sink. I run a brush through my long hair and get dressed. A chilly morning in a frigid bathroom. The only thing to be said for is that as the cold water mercilessly beats the sleepiness from me. Let me see. I want to see Tosaka. With a final tug of the ribbon at my collar, I finish getting dressed. All that's left is to have breakfast and go to school. The clock reads just past 7, so my morning rush feels a bit anticlimactic. Of course, I never do anything so uncouth as sprinting to school. Aww. But you run into your life like that. The love of your life when you run into them when you're toasting them in your face. The Tosaka family motto dictates that we can conduct ourselves with confidence and elegance at all times. My ancestors must have been some high and mighty aristocrats, if that's what we taught through the generations. The anachronistic mansion I live in is proof of enough of that. Plus, the Tosakas are a line of spellweavers who practice what is known as magecraft. We're not just any old family. We have an admirably storied history. Yeah, after, you lost all the money. In fact, I literally can't talk about it. The truth is, I'm a mage. Who could I even brag that about to? As the name suggests, magecraft is what most normal people would see as magic. It sounds like some supernatural woo-woo, and if you would like to think of us as just wiggling your fingers and saying abracadabra, that's fine too. Just think of us as people who chant weird words and make equally weird stuff happen. That said, we don't fly around in broomsticks. We don't shoot stars out of wands either. We can do things like that, but there's no point, so we don't. We're pretty much heretics who lurk in the shadows of society. We're not allowed to draw attention to ourselves, and anyone who has the time for that kind of thing would rather spend it on their research. Ordinary humans might call us magicians, but that would be wrong. In fact, there are only 5 magicians in the whole world. Magicians are what we call people who can do something no one else can. They can accomplish feats beyond the means of modern science and perform genuine miracles. Similarly, magic is a label we use for mystics, magical mysteries that can't be realized with any amount of time or skill. While magecraft, though it looks mysterious, it's something anyone can do with enough time and resources. I'm a mage, and the kind of mystics I use are merely magecraft, not true magic. Confusing, I know, but that's how it works. Also, modern civilization doesn't accept the existence of mages. We believe in, manipulate, and study things that can't be measured, which puts us at odds with modern society. Above all, there's no point to any of what we do. You'd be so much happier just going off to a normal school and becoming a normal adult than you would studying magecraft. Human technology has accomplished great things. For the last few centuries, magecraft has been playing catch-up to the progress of civilization. Nothing is impossible for humanity anymore. Miracles that can only be realized with magecraft in the distant past have been reduced to common tools and appliances. Even so, Magecraft does have its benefits. Just as there are some things that only science can accomplish, there remains heights only mystics can reach. If science is racing into the future, then mages are racing into the past. I think that Tosaka Grandmaster said that. Whether you're heading into the past or the future, your destination is the same. 0, or something like that. We can shelve the difficult topics for now. Philosophies for the elderly. It's such a fancy building. There's just so many chairs. Why do you need that many chairs? She's so lonely. I finish my breakfast and pick up my bag. Wait, I know this theme. Dun, 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 dun. I know this BGM. I've heard it in FGO. I think it happens anytime. When did I hear it for the first time? Valentine's theme, that's right. This is the BGM that usually plays during Valentine's. Da 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 da. So good. What if I play this on violin? Dang. Give me a lot of work. I'm reluctant to take something so valuable to school, but it would be a waste to leave it behind. There it is, the pendant. One could even say it is on the entirely different level. I obtained the gem after decoding my father's will last night. It's imbued with 10 years worth of my own magical energy. I've been told that the Tosaka family has heirloom jewels, passed down since the olden days. And this might be one of them. Hey Trisha. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I really like this BGM that's playing right now. It's probably like I've heard it before in the FGO Valentine's Day events. Right now it's still the prologue, so we're just going through what Tosaka's getting up in the morning. Tosaka mages specialize at the conversion of a flow of power. We channel our magical energy into precious gems whenever we have a spare moment. Simply put, I'm the gun and the jewels are the bullets. The other main thing I've inherited from my father is the magic crest engraved into my left arm. A magic crest is proof that I'm the heir of our lineage. It's like all the techniques of the Tosaka condensed into a tattoo. It's good. It's been a bit since I've been in here. How are you? I'm pretty good right now. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, I've been streaming a little bit less, but I'm trying to find my schedule. Like, what's the best time for me to stream? For now, I stole my pendant, my father's keepsake, into a pocket. It's 7:30. I better leave soon if I don't want to be late for school. Damn, girl, you live like this? It's an awesome house. I weave energy into a brief foreign phrase. As a mage, I can't neglect the security of my home base. That still applies even if I've never had as much as a single burglar, lost child, or stray cat wander into my home. Actually, I don't think the neighbors have ever even come over to say hello. Aw, he doesn't even have a pet cat. I look up at the mansion that's been my home for over a decade. Uyuki is a strange city. One side of the intersection dividing the residential area is filled with old samurai estates, while the side I'm on has an abundance of mansions built in European style. Apparently a whole bunch of foreign families immigrated here long ago, but I've never seen a single foreigner around. There's even a cemetery for foreigners in Shinto, the new part of the city, across the river, but it was built for the generation that immigrated here. I make a mental note to ask the priest about it next time I visit the church. The priest? Oh, I know who she's talking about. He's nothing if not full of boring trivia for sure. Yorokobe shonen. Something feels off as soon as I step outside. There's no trace of the typical morning bustle. At 7:30 in the morning, there would normally be students and workers on their daily commutes. I have a bad feeling. Maybe everyone just slept in. It's unusually cold today, so everyone must be snuggled up in bed. School. Even if that were true, it's strange that there isn't a single student on the streets. At this time of day, you'd expect to see at least a school uniform or two. And yet, from where I'm standing at the school gate, it looks like morning club activities are just starting up. Which can only mean... early. With a light sigh, I turn to face the student who called out to me. Ohayo gozaimasu! Samui. The girl who addresses me so casually is Ayako Mitsuzuri. She's my classmate in 2A, and she has quite a history. It's probably like 6 or something, right? She waves her hand in front of my face as if to ask if anyone's home. Ayako is one of my few friends. Wait, Tosaka has friends? I didn't know she actually had friends. And she knows I'm not a morning person. I can't believe she actually has friends. I'm so proud of her. I can almost bring a tear to my eye. She's probably figured out by now that I'm just still not completely with it. What's going on here? Father must have set the clocks to go haywire once I took out the pendant out of the underground cellar. But why? Is she part of the archery club or kendo club? Dun 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 dun. Oh, archery club, okay. Kyudo. I'm acquainted with 3 of its members. One is Ayako, the girl I'm talking to now. I barely ever speak to the other 2. Of those latter 2, there is one that I actually can't explain away as simply as an acquaintance. I became friends with Ayako, the club captain, because I've been watching the club from afar. Is she talking about Sakura? Sakura's part of the club too, right? Sasaiko. One of our school's trademarks is its well-equipped archery range. The chair of the school board has a passion for Kyudo, traditional Japanese archery, so they built a magnificent range on the campus. It's kind of a waste for the high school club, to be honest. There's only 3 of them. That was like it's spending a lot of money for a football field, but nobody's playing. Ayako tugs on my arm, looking somewhat pleased. If I'm being honest, her brusque way of speaking is a bad habit. She's just a tomboy. I like that. As Ayako said, there's no one else at the range. We sip Japanese tea that's so hot it numbs my tongue as we prepare ahead for today's classes. The hot drink is delicious in the quiet wintry archery range.
そっちの調子はどうなのよ、遠坂。いい加減頼りになる相棒は見つかった？
Feeling someone good? Boyfriend? And she used the occasion to ask me something completely ridiculous.
ほんと、いきなり本題に入るのね、あなたは。その言いぶりだと、そっちはもう見つけたんだ。
ノーコメント。遠坂が手を沸かすまではこっちも秘密さ。で、どうなのよ。その疲れた顔を見ると脈ありって感じだけど。
こっちもノーコメント。あなたに隠してもどうせ見抜かれるか。残念ながらこっちはまだよ。綾子の方はお互いのんびりしてる余裕はないはずだけど。
そうなんだけど、私も雲行きは怪しいわ。とりあえず取り繕うことはできるけど、ことがことでしょ。
Come on.
先の命運がかかってるんだから。
You can give a guy a chance, right?
勝手に決めて私に負けるのも嫌？
もちろん。私にとって重要なのはあんたを任すことだもの。何が手に入るとか何を手に入れるとか
So spiteful. She chuckles confidently.
似た者同士ね、私たち。
Oh my god, they really are friends.
ねえ、初めて会った時に言ったでしょ。あんたとはそういう関係にあるんだって。
It's like the best friendship Tosaka can ask for a stubborn person she is. She did, didn't she? I was genuinely surprised to have someone say that right off the bat. Translation? Our friendship won't bloom unless we are constantly trading blows, is what Yako is getting at. But she doesn't get along that well with Lubia. I think she just straight up actually hates her. Nah, it's a different type of rivalry.
なんでこんな話してるんだっけ？
なんでって言い出したのは遠坂でしょ。
Hmm?
あんたがいつまでも彼氏がいないのは女としてどうよなんてこぼすもんだから。なら3年になる前にどっちが先に男作るかって勝負になったんじゃない。
ああ、そうだった。売り言葉に買い言葉ってやつだった。で、遅れを取った方が一日言いなりになるんだっけ？
Feels like I'm just griping for a
今時子
boyfriend.
供でも交わさない約束だけどあんたと私に限って往生際が悪いってことはないでしょ。どんな結果になろうと負けた方はおとなしく勝者に従うことになる。それを思うと私は今から楽しみで楽しみで。
Ayako snickers in delight. My goodness. Ayako Misuzuri is, to put it mildly, a handful. I'll admit it, I'm looking forward to winning myself, so that goes for both of us.
そう。けど三辻さん、楽しむのは結構だけど、目的を違えないよう気をつけなさい。勝負の内容は後先だけじゃないでしょ。
分かってるって。遠坂より早く遠坂が心底羨ましがるような関係にな
At
らないと
insult to injury, look at my
完全勝
boyfriend.
利とは言えないから
He's
ね。
like the best thing ever.
ま、私たちにとってはそれが一番厄介な問題なんだが、どんなにいい男だろうと好きになれなきゃ意味がない。
Oh, they're gonna be there forever. Aiko's sigh is heavy. From what I've heard, she's known as a bit of a misandrist. Can't put too much stock in gossip though. That she made this bet at all means less that she doesn't like boys and more that she doesn't found the right person. That aside,
ちょっと、私たちって何よ、私たちって。断っておきますけど、私はそっちと違って冷血感じゃありません。男の、
ああ、それ嘘。もしくは気づいていないだけ。遠坂が男を気にかけるなんてことは
imagine you getting soft on a boy.
今まで数えきれないぐらい告白されたくせに一つも色良い返事してないじゃない。少しでも興味があるなら付き合おうって思うでしょ。
発想が貧困ね。その場合、すでに好きな相手がいるから断ってるって話もありじゃない？
Who could that be?
おお、すっごい美談。いいね、そういうの。ロマンだな。
Ayako's tone isn't mocking. She nods solemnly. Her sigh tells me that it would be nice if it were true. I don't believe myself. I really can't hide anything from her.
そうね。私もそう思う。
She's right. I know very well how cold I am.
認めるわ。私、こと恋愛に関しては素人みたい。
Ice queen meet other ice queen.
そういうこと。似た者同士だって言ったのも遠坂でしょ。で、もうじき7時か。秘密の話はこの辺にしとこう。いつ人がやってくるかわからないし、朝になったら学生らしく振る舞わないとな。
Time to start acting like students. Wait, she mage too? Nah.
三辻さんにもそういう世間体があったなんて意外だわ。ええ、これだけでも早起きした甲斐があったの。
Ah, thank you for the follow. Where's it from?
あんたほど筋金入ってないけ
Angelic
ど
Cuddles.
ね。
Thank you.
私の世間
Faded
体なんて
Woods.
遠
No,
坂
a
凛
sonic
に
search
比べたら
across at the Faded Woods
灯
Bureau.
籠の斧ってもん
There's
よ。
a soft-spoken guy.
あんたの猫っかぶりは擬態っていうより別人格のレベルよ。別人格。
Mm-hmm. Ayako sniffs exaggeratedly. I emptied the rest of my teacup she poured me and brew a new pot. Wait, what kind of tea are they drinking? Green tea?
で、遠坂はどうして部活に入らないのよ。運動神経がないなんてざれ言は聞かないからね。私は去年の体力測定でことごとくあんたに負けたのまだ恨んでるんだから。
あら、肺活量では三辻さんに負けたわよ、私。あと、体重も三辻さんのが上だったけど。
やったー、重さで3キロ上回った。
Wait, what? She's happy about waiting.
体重で勝っても嬉しくないってのよ、このタヌキ。
Ayako slaps the table. Oh, I wish I could have seen that animated. That'd be pretty
お茶が
funny.
こぼれるでしょ、三辻さん。首相なんだから。
I could just picture them being like really old friends, thinking jokes and just flipping the table.
私は首相である前に遠坂のライバルだ。部員がいなけりゃあんたに食ってかかるのは当然よ。
Ayako side-eyes me with a huff. She has a unique idea about beauty. A beautiful woman must walk the martial path. She's always going on about that. Not surprisingly, she's well versed in most martial arts. Kyudo was a discipline she was least skilled at, so she joined the club and worked her way up to the captain. She's probably one of the top 3 people in our school you'd at least want to mess with.
あら、部員がいなければ首相じゃないなんて問題発言じゃない？それ。
問題発言なもんですか。私はお飾りの首相だから、できることって言ったら不良部員を取り締まることだけよ。私以上にしゃがりっぱなやつがいるんだから、首相としての面目なんてないわ。
そうなの？藤村先生、三辻さんは飛び抜けてうまい
Fujimura.
って言ってた
That's
けど。
Taiga, right? Can't remember their last names.
あの人がそう言うんなら、そりゃ少しは自信が持てるけど、まあ、いなくなっちまったやつのことなんて考えても仕方ないか。
そうそう。噂をすれば影。そろそろ部員がやってくる頃
Okay,
でしょ。
who else was in the club?
私はおいとまするけど、
Well, it's
三辻
3.
さんはきちんと首相になりなさい。
So it's Shiro and Shinji?
何？見ていかないの？シャ。
見てもわからないもの。遠くから眺める分にはいいけどね。不心得者が道場にいるわけにはいかないでしょ。
Just as I get up to leave, the first club members begin entering the archery range. Sakura!
ございます、首相。
Best girl. There she is, best girl.
ああ、おはようマト。今朝は一人？
Poor Sakura.
はい。力になれず申し訳ありません。
ああ、いいっていいって。本人が弓をやらないって言うんなら無理をさせても仕方がない。
Ayako speaks to the first club member to arrive.
それじゃあ失礼するわ。また後でね、三辻さん。
ああ、また後でね、遠坂。
お疲れ様です、遠坂先輩。ありがとう。さくらもしっかりね。
I leave the dojo behind so as not to get in their way. Shinji.
おはよう。朝から君に会えるなんてついてるな。
Wait, his voice actor, I forget who it was. It's not... Well, I think it is, right? No, I think it is.
おはようマト君。今日は早いのね。
Mato.
当たり前だろ。首相なんだから。早めに来ないと。
Wait, he's the captain?
示しがつかないじゃないか。
Shinji Mato from Class 2C grins at me. He's the vice captain of the Kyudo Club and darling of half of the girls at school. He's the popular kid? It's mostly thanks to his looks, of course, but he's also admired for his good grades, social graces, and being kind to girls. You're joking. And being an overthought heartthrob or something like that. Bro, is this the same Shinji we're all talking about?
ご機嫌なところ悪いんだけど、一文字抜けてるわ、マト君。大事な字だから忘れない方がいいと思うけど。
Kind to girls. Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
幸福の福。字は違うけど響きは一緒でしょ、副首相さん。気をつけなさい。別に首相も副首相も変わらないけど、変に意識するとこだわってるみたいに聞こえるでしょ。
Always bothered by it. Vice Captain.
そうだね。今後は気をつける。ありがとう、遠坂。
お礼を言われるようなことはしてないけど、まあマト君がそう思ったのなら私には関係ないか。
With that, I turn to leave the range. I don't think I like how the character models leave scenes, because it's wipes, but like multi wipes. Kind of
遠
weird.
慮するわ。練習の邪魔をしたくないもの。
そんなの構わないよ。他の連中が気に障るんなら締め出すからさ。ちょっと寄っていけって。
だから邪魔をする気はないって言ってるでしょ。それに私別に弓道に興味があるわけじゃないから、知らないやつのシャを見ても嬉しくないわ。
なんだよ、遠坂。弓道に興味はなかったのか。へえ。だっていうのに、放課後になると遠くから見てたのは、そういうわけかな。
I don't know what he's playing at, but he seems to have seriously misunderstood things.
なんだ、知ってたのマト君。
ああ、よく目があったんだぜ。僕と遠坂。
He's putting on the moves on her.
斬新の時に限って遠坂は僕を見ていたろ。声を返したかったけど一応決まりでね。車上では声を上げちゃいけないんだ。
Oh, he's getting close. Shinji starts closing in on me, looking pleased with himself. I see the triumphant grin in his eye competing with that affable smile.
勘違いしてたよ。遠坂は弓が好きなんだと思ってたけど弓道には興味がないんだろ。ならなんで
What were you watching? Now I see. It would sound like that, wouldn't it?
離れてくれないかしら、マト君。私、あまり人に近寄られるのは好きじゃないし。
Don't let him touch you, or else.
何、遠坂。
あきれた。ここまで言ってもわからないのね。趣味じゃないけど仕方ないか。簡単にあなたにも理解
Oh,
で
here
きるように
comes this thing really messed up.
いいマト君。私は弓道に興味がない以上にあなたに興味はないって言ってるのよ。実際
Damn.
なんだと。
I must have touched a nerve, because he tries to grab me roughly. Huh? I twist out of his reach and turn to leave.
それじゃあね、マト君。自意識過剰なのも結構だけど、ほどほどにしておいた方がいいわよ。
遠坂、お前。
Shinji sounds like he's about to say something, but he keeps his temper and doesn't chase me after her. The guy is all style, no substance. If he had eaten a little backbone, the people around him wouldn't suffer so. Stop. I take the entrance into campus from the archery range. It's past 7 now, but there still aren't students in the hallways. Taiga!
遠坂さんだ。
Jaguar man. Technically has pretty good sword skills and on par with the servants. Crazy.
おはよう遠坂さん。ちゃんと挨拶してくれて先生は嬉しいよ。
A strange woman pretends to sob in delight. It may be hard to believe, but this extraordinarily affectionate and happy-go-lucky woman is actually a teacher here.
先生、ちゃんと挨拶をする以外に
I like her already.
する挨拶があるのでしょうか。
Of course, who hates Tiger? No one.
1年生はちゃんと挨拶してくれるんだけどね。上級生になってくると私の名字で挨拶しないんだから。
Maybe she wasn't so informal and kind. Probably still be using their surname instead of first name. But that's what we like about her. She's so chill.
みんながみんな遠坂さんみたいだったらいいのにな。
With a parting wave and a see ya, Miss Fujimura leaves. Fortunately, she isn't my homeroom teacher. Miss Fujimura teaches English. Her sunny attitude belies her expert rank in Japanese fencing, kendo. In her student days, they called her the Fuyuki Tiger. That's the mystery though. You think someone known as the Tiger would be feared, not adored, right? Miss Fujimura surely heads off in the direction of the archery range. For some reason, she's the faculty advisor for the Kyudo club, instead of the Kendo club. That is weird. It's just before 7:30. I can see students doing their club activities on the school grounds, but there's hardly anyone indoors, except this guy. He always blurts out my name like I did something wrong every time he sees me. Oh, he's the student council president? You know, I have very little information on launch of any of the side characters in Fate Stay Night.
そういうお前こそ何を企んでいる。部活動もしていないお前がこんな早くに何の用か。
ただの気まぐれよ。竜斗くんちみたいに早起きじゃないもの、私。
Student council president's handsome face darkens with suspicion. So Tosaka thinks she's handsome. He seems to have it out for me. I really don't know why. Maybe me saying tempos are so dull, pass, is what started it.
一つ聞いておくが、最近夜遅くまで校舎にいたことはあるか、遠坂。
ないわね。私が帰宅部だって知ってるでしょ、竜斗くんは。
当然だ。生徒会長を任された以上、全校生徒の情報は把握している。
そう。なら私に聞くまでもないでしょ。なんだってそんなことを聞くか知らないけど、生徒会の仕事を部外者に押し付けちゃまずいんじゃない？情報収集は一人でやりなさいよ。私みたいな部外者に頼らないで。
たわけ、お前のどこが部外者だ。うちの会計の首根っこ掴んで悪さをしたのを知らぬと思ったが、このメギツレ。
Treasurer? You vixen?
人聞きが悪いわね。あれは三辻さんに頼まれて部費の割合を明らかにしただけでしょ。みんなの予算がどこに使われているか調べるなんて生徒として当然の行為だと思うけど。
なんと、うちの会計を1週間休ませた精神的ダメージが当然の行為なのか。とんでもない倫理観をお持ち。
What the heck did Tosaka do to the freaking treasurer?
あなたもね、部下の手綱ぐらいちゃんと握ってなさい。文化系ばかりひいきするのはフェアじゃないわ。
分かっている。だからこそ俺の手で不正を正したかったのだが。
Shiro, he just comes out here. Wait, that's it? This is where he's introduced? Like right here in a random in-between scene? That's anticlimactic. Hey Shiro, she shows up. Expect they'd say. Just then, an unexpected visitor makes his presence known. I can't get over the fact that he just introduced just like this. Don't worry about it. Where's the next one? We don't have much time.
ああ、次は昇格室だ。前から調子が悪かったそうなんだが、この度ついに天寿を全うされた。
Oh no, wait. Shiro was in the beginning of the first Ichi
そうなんだが、
with Saber.
一応見てくれると助かる。俺から見れば臨終だが、お前から見れば仮病かもしれん。
Still, having it pop up now is a bit odd too. I like it though. Like, unassuming. Beckoned by the other students, the president leaves. I'd stopped thinking about during the sudden turn of events. The other boy, wrench and screwdriver in hand, turns as if he's remembered something. Huh. You're early today, Tosaka. He awkwardly mutters and leaves. Was that supposed to be a greeting? The president and the student called Emiya walked off into the distance. That would be Shiro Emiya from class 2C.
それはいいんだけどさ。
How do I put it? The wrench looked right at home in his hands, but I'm not sure if it's because it makes him look tough or handy. At 7:30 a.m., there's no one else in the classroom 2A. I take a seat at my desk and flip through my math workbook. School. There's still 30 minutes until morning homeroom. I've got time to kill until my classmates start arriving. The classroom is lively as lunch break begins after 4th period. My school has a cafeteria, so about only half of the students stay in the room. It's mostly girls who stay behind. The girls think the cafeteria is a bit too liberal with the seasoning, so... Who's this? Random NPC number 1? We girls tend to enjoy our lunches as a group.
ありがとう、三枝さん。
Saigusa.
ごめんなさい。私、今日は学食なんです。今朝は寝過ごしてしまって、お弁当を作る余裕がなかったものですから。あ、いや、そうなんですか。ごめんなさい。そうとも知らず呼び止めてしまって。私、余計なことしましたね。
Saigusa looks guiltily at her feet. Among the refined and well-behaved students from Class A, she's the most demure. For some reason, she's really nice to me.
余計なことだなんて、そんなことはありません。今日はたまたまだから気にしないで。また明日、これに懲りず声をかけてください。
I let her down as gently as I can and offer a genuine smile.
はい。でも、遠坂さんでも寝過ごすことがあるんですね。
Perhaps my smile made me feel better. Saigusa turns back to her table, looking relieved. She's adorable. Yukika Saigusa isn't drop-dead gorgeous, but her smile always puts everyone around her at ease.
ええ、そうなんです。なんとかごまかしてますけど、本当は寝ぼすけなんですよ、私。部活だって朝起きられないから入ってないんです。
Saigusa somehow maintains an elegant air even when startled. Watching her reactions is always so calming, but that doesn't mean I have the time to just stand here and talk. If I keep up the conversation with someone so disarming, the real me is bound to show herself.
それじゃあ食堂に行ってきます。三枝さん。はい、遠坂さんも。
Saigusa and I exchange some graceful greetings, and she returns to her friends. I see that she's eating with Kaede Makidera and Kane Himuro. Alright, wasn't Saigusa the track and field club manager? Makidera and Himuro are the track and field club rising stars. Makidera is a bad influence with whom I go window shopping on days off, but I don't know Himuro too well.
売られたね、ゆきっち。だから言ったでしょ。遠坂は弁当持ってこないって。釣りたかったらあいつの分も飯用意しないとね。
Yeah, these characters I do not know very well. They look familiar, but not
それ
really.
は私たちも食堂に移動すればいいだけの話では。
ダメ メダメ、食堂は狭いんだから。弁当組が座れるスペースなんてねっての。それに遠坂と同席してみなさい。前の休みだってさ、二人で遊びに行ったのにあいつだけ得しちゃってさ。やだよね、美人を鼻にかけた優等生は。
Aw, that's her friend. Makidera takes hold of Sayaka's desk and she continues to rant about me. Despite her foul mouth, she actually wears a kimono really well, like a picturesque Japanese beauty.
牧野寺
Makinoji.
口は遠坂城に聞こえているようだが。
Meanwhile, Hiro's cool and solid demeanor are a complete foil to that of the Makidera.
やべ、遠坂に聞かれた。ゲゲ、めっちゃ睨んでるじゃん、あいつ。別に遠坂さん、マキちゃんを睨んでなんかないと思うけど。睨んでんだよ、あれ。あいつは笑ってる時が一番怖いんだから。
It's the scariest when she's smiling at you.
いいじゃんか、口ぐらい。多めに見ろよ。私と遠坂の仲だろ。たい焼きおごってやっただろ。
Kaede Makidera puffs her cheeks out in a pout, waving her disposable chopsticks in the air. Would you believe that her hobby is collecting wind chimes? The world works in strange ways. At any rate, it's rude to Saigasa to stare at the three of them. Caught between me and the foul-mouthed Makidera, Saigasa looks like she doesn't know what to do with herself.
気にしないでいいのよ、三枝さん。それと牧寺さん、おごらされたのは私で、品物はたい焼きではなくクレープでした。無意識に事実を改ざんする悪癖、次あたりに直さないと考えますよ。マジ怖え、あの笑顔。
She probably has that angry smile. With the angry smile. Makidera holds up her lunch mug, lid is like some kind of shield, and slide the door closed. Oops.
なんだよ、大差ないじゃんか、たい焼きもクレープも。どっちも甘いの、皮で包んでるんだからさ。
Makidera utters something blasphemous for a girl. Huh?
たい焼きとクレープが同じですって？
Oh no, she's gonna piss off everyone. Is she even human? Are all desserts the same to her? If I'd known that her taste buds can't distinguish between Flora's 500 yen very, very berry from an 80 yen takoyaki from Enomaya, damn you, Kaede Makidera. I could have stayed for 120 yen.
何本気で悔しがってるんだ、私。
I must still be tired from last night. The cafeteria sounds like a pain, so I'll just buy some bread from the counter and eat at the roof. I purchase my lunch and head to the unoccupied roof. Though it's different in the summertime, during the winter, the roof is a convenient place to eat that other students tend to avoid. It's too cold to hang out here during lunch, but that's a small price to pay for privacy.
さて、とりあえずご飯と。
I indulge in the tomato sandwich and hot lemon drink I bought from the cafeteria. It's a simple lunch, made all the more delicious by the fact I can enjoy it up in here in peace. I finish the sandwich and sip on the warm, lemony drink. I'm a little tired. It's hard to balance being an overachiever with avoiding human contact as much as possible. As the saying goes, one should be accomplished at both the pen and the sword. It's a point of pride, no, conviction, that I be the top student at school. I decided that if I was going to be a student, then I would be the very best. I don't want people looking down on the Tosaka name. That's how Rin Tosaka came to be the perfect, flawless student. On the other hand, my occupation as a mage is dangerous, so I shouldn't associate too much with normal people. When a mage is discovered by the public, she has no choice but to eliminate witnesses to protect herself. I'd rather not resort to that. That's why I keep my social interactions purely superficial, out of necessity. I only hang out with Makidera on my days off, and I turn down invitations from mere sociable people like Saigasa. It's difficult walking the tightrope of being a number one student at school while making sure I don't become anybody else's number one. And sure, there are times when it tires me out and I feel like life is a real drag.
もう時間か。
I finish the hot lemon drink and stand up. That's enough sentimentality for one day, then to go back downstairs and become Rin Tosaka again. Oh, it's him.
ではホームルームを終了する。日直は日誌と戸締まりの確認を。部活動のない生徒は速やかに帰宅するように。
Class 2A's teacher gives his usual smile and leaves the room. As far as I know, he said it exactly the same way all year. Like a robot, an NPC.
今日はもうお帰り？
ええ、朝方マトウ君と一見あったし、面倒になる前に帰るわ。
やっぱりそうか。マトウのやつ、今朝は特に荒れてたからさ。
そう、迷惑をかけてしまったかしら、三辻さん。
別にマトウが下級生をいびるのはいつものことだし、あれはあれでいい精神鍛錬になるよ。
I'm pretty sure she's just abusing them.
そう、よかった。じゃあこの埋め合わせはまた今度。
はいはい、これに懲りずまた寄っていってちょうだい。
I make my way home without taking any detours. My time as Rin Tosaka, the honor student, ends once I leave the school. The next half of the day is reserved for the other me. I have to become a mage of the Tosaka. Everything's all yellow. When I arrive back at the house, I'm greeted with the pulsing light of my answering machine.
留守電なんて珍しいな。
綺麗。
やっぱりあんたか、綺麗。
I have a feeling I know what he's going to say, but I better listen or I won't hear the end of it later. I press the play button and hear a familiar male voice.
私だ。分かっていると思うが、期限は明日までだぞ、リン。あまり悠長に構えられては困る。残る席はあと2つだ。早々にマスターを揃えねばならん。
The priest cuts straight to the point.
マスターの権利を放棄するというのなら、今日中に連絡しろ。予備の魔術師を派遣するにも。
Become a mage now? Master? Or never? Liar. I bet you can find a backup right away.
お前にはすでに0時の兆しが現れているのだ。さっさとサーバントを召喚し、0時を開け。もっとも、聖杯戦争に参加しないというのならば話は別だ。命が惜しいのなら、早々に教会に駆け込むがいい。
The voicemail ends. It was a clear message in simple language. If you're going to fight, then be ready by today. If you aren't, then retire, because you're in the way.
言われなくても分かってるわよ。
It's only to be expected, I guess. Today's the last day I can drag this out. Thankfully, I managed to decipher Father's notes yesterday. My battle preparations are in order. All that's left is to seize the right to participate, as he said.
聖杯戦争。たった一つきりの聖杯を奪い合う殺し合い。何百年も前から伝わってきた聖杯の儀式か。
The mage who take part in the Holy Grail War are called Masters. It doesn't denote a rank of any kind. It merely describes a role. There's a condition to participate in the Holy Grail War. You must summon a familiar called the Servant and form a contract with them. Regardless of your skills as a mage, you are not recognized as a master unless you command a servant. There's a clear difference between servants and normal familiars. The way you summon and use them are different. Mages who plan to fight in the Holy Grail War prepare summoning catalysts, but
父さんもセイバーにゆかりのものを残してくれればよかったのに。
I don't own any relics or connection to a servant. I can summon one, yes. In fact, I could do it right now if I wanted to, as well as form a contract. This town's ley lines are under the jurisdiction of the Tosaka. I'm an heir to a clan that has administered the land for generations, so my performance will not take a back seat to some visiting mage. Although, while true, it'd be awfully incompetent of me to embark on a figurative voyage without a compass.
サーバントはシンボルによって引き寄せられる。強力なサーバントを呼び出したいのなら、そのサーバントにゆかりのあるものが必要不可欠なのだ。
In other words, I need to some outrageously valuable item, like a sword or a piece of armor, that servant owned, or maybe a bone or heraldry related to them.
父さんの遺言に期待してたんだけどな。これはこれでものすごい切り札なんだけど。
The pendant I discovered in the basement last night is an ancient artifact of the highest quality. It's amazing all on its own. Still, it won't help me summon a servant.
いいわよ。そんなものに頼らなくたってなんとかなるわ。そもそも私以外にセーバーを扱えるマスターなんているはずないし。
Saber. Alright, I've made up my mind. I'd rather not get another earful, and I'm waiting until the last minute doesn't sit right with me. Now the real challenge begins. Tonight, I'm gonna summon a servant while I'm in the peak condition, and acquire Saber by force. Late night. The clock reads almost 2 a.m. This is the period where everything lines up. My condition peaks at 2 a.m. sharp. In terms of limits, this will be my first and last chance, so I can't afford even the slightest mistake.
消去の中に大挙。大挙の陣を4つ刻んで、召喚の陣で囲むと。
Some blood. I inscribe magical circles into the floor of the basement. Actually, it doesn't take a major evocation to call forth a servant. Servants are invited by the Holy Grail. Masters anchor them to the world and supply the magical energy to materialize them. But the servants are the ones who choose to respond to the summons. There you go. Come forth.
ソニ、銀と鉄。礎に石と契約の太鼓。ソニは我が大使、シュバインヨーグ。降り立つ風には壁を。四方の門は閉じ、王冠より出。王国に至る三サルは循環せよ。
Still, I need to keep cautious and focus. Magic circles are normally drawn with blood, but tonight I draw mine with melted jewels. I've been using half of the jewels I've accumulated over my lifetime, so I'll never financially recover from this if it fails. I'll never financially recover from this.
満たせ、満たせ、満たせ、満たせ。繰り返し都度に5度。ただ、満たされる時を破却する。
It's almost 2 a.m. I finish drawing the summoning circle passed down through the Tosaka line and face it with all my being.
アンフォン。
I flick a formless switch within myself. With a click, I feel my insides turn over into something else. My normal nerves invert and become circuits for conducting magical energy. Rin Tosaka is no longer human. She's just a component in the execution of mystics. I melt from my fingers. No, I'm filled up from my fingers. The mana I'm taking is so dense, it overrides my body's sensations. That's why I'm being destroyed at the same time being filled. Running through my body is a power, mana, from the atmosphere. I convert into a different type of energy through my body circuits. A mage's body is nothing but circuits. Circuits that connect the ethereal to the material. The mystical outcome that we produce is what we call magecraft. My body grows hot. It seems like thorns are growing from my forehead. It seems like wings are sprouting from my back. It seems like scales are covering my hands. It feels like there's water pooling around my ankles. Sweat drips. Stab. Stab. Swords pierce my body. These are the stigmata that reject my body, which become a circuit. No matter how gifted a mage is, we're only human. In a human body, the pain is something we must live with whenever we use magecraft. The cycle doesn't let up. Beyond the agony, deep within the trance, lies the mental state necessary for connection. Pain wriggles in my left arm. To aid the caster, my magic crest autonomously begins an incantation, invading my nervous system. The mana in the atmosphere have taken into turns into blood. It's like molten lead. While my activated magic crest resembles thorny nerves. With a crunching sensation, it creeps throughout my body like a thorny centipede. Within the hurt, I forget myself. At the same time, I can feel it taking hold of me, like I'm reaching where I need to go. The hypersensitivity hearing picks up the ticking clock in the parlor. 10 seconds left until 2 a.m. The power filling up my body is unquestionably complete. Time to begin. I convert the mana I've collected into magical energy for fixation. All that's left is to feed all that energy into the engine, the summoning circle, until my body runs dry. Here he is. My vision goes dark. What lies before me is now the fifth factor, said to be imperceptible to the naked eye. My vision shuts off on its own, fearing what it might see. Oh, jeez. There goes the budget. And my thing crashed. There we go. It's back. And so Tosaka failed her summon. Nothing's there. The room doesn't look different at all. I spent that much ether into this ritual, only for absolutely nothing to materialize? On top of that, I think I just heard something explode in the parlor. I bolt. My head's empty at this point. I just run. I race up to the stairs from the basement. The door to the parlor is askew off its hinges. There isn't a point in turning the doorknob. And since it won't open whether I push or pull, I kick it down and it bursts into the room. Brute force.
Thank you for the follow.
Oof. And the moment I enter the parlor, everything becomes clear. It's Archer! Everything's in tatters. Rubble is strewn across everything, as if something had fallen through the ceiling. On top of it all, a man sits cocking his head arrogantly. He must be some sort of criminal. But something graver draws my attention. The grandfather clock, having escaped destruction, tells the time precisely. Now I remember. Right. Of course. The clocks were an hour ahead today, weren't they? Which means it's 1 a.m. Still a full hour left until I'm peak spellcasting form. Oof. Oh, jeez. I can complete tasks as well as anyone else, but suffer from the curse of my genetics. When it really counts, I somehow managed to bungle things in an unbelievable level. 1 hour too early. I can't believe my own stupidity. Still irritated, I direct my glare at the man lounging haughtily on the rubble. Who are you?
開口一番それか。これはまたとんでもないマスターに引き当てられたものだ。
The man in red mantle shakes his head in a show of exasperation. To add insult to injury, he mutters something about drawing the short straw. Oh, now I'm dead certain. This guy has a messed up personality. And is this a servant? I thought familiars were shapeless beings. But this is just a man. And not just a man. Even from here, I can tell that it's brimming with a shocking amount of magical energy. Don't be fooled by its appearance. I'm staring at something that's undoubtedly more than human. It's a human-shaped ghost. It's on the level of an elemental. This is no time to be dumbstruck. That thing belongs to me. I need to get my head in the game.
確認するけど、あなたは私のサーバントで間違いない？
それはこちらが聞きたいな。君こそ私のマスターなのか？ここまで乱暴な召喚は初めてでね。正直状況がつかめない。
私だって初めてよ。そういう質問は却下するわ。
そうか。だが私が召喚された時に君は目の前にいなかった。
本気？ひな鳥じゃあるまいし、目を開けた時にしか主を決められないなんて冗談はやめてよね。
The unidentified servant frowns and grunt escapes his lips. Maybe he didn't like the way I said it. Though he has a mixed reaction, as if still impressed by the logic of my words.
まあいいわ。私が聞いているのはね、あなたが他の誰でもない、この私のサーバントかってことだけよ。それをはっきりさせない以上、他の質問に答える義務はないわ。
召喚に失敗しておいてそれか。この場合、他に色々と言うべきことがあると思うのだな。
そんなのないわよ。主従関係は一番初めにはっきりさせておくべきものだもの。
The servant's eyebrows twitches. He isn't even bothered to hide his dissatisfaction with me. I wonder if it's because of the half-baked summoning.
主従関係ははっきりさせておくか。やることは知ってんだらけだが、口だけは達者らしい。ああ、確かにその意見には賛成だ。どちらが強者で、どちらが弱者なのか、明確にしておかなければ、お互いやりづらかろう。
The servant eyes me meaningfully, still relaxing on the rubble of my living room.
どちらが弱者かですって？
ああ、私もサーバントだ。呼ばれたからには主従関係を認めるさ。だがどちらがより優れたものか、共に戦うにふさわしい相手かを測るのは別になる。
Are you weak, Tosaka? Yeah.
さて、その件でいくと、君は私のマスターにふさわしい魔術師なのかな、お嬢さん。
Ojo-san? The servant smirks. First, he destroys my house and acts like he's the king of the castle, and now he has the nerve to ask whether I'm worthy?
あなたの意見なんて聞いてないわ。私が聞いているのは、あなたが私のサーバントかどうかってことだけよ。
I repeat myself, stealing my gaze. I'm not going to back down from this condescending jerk.
おう、なるほどなるほど。そんな当たり前のことは答えるまでもないと。実に勇ましい。いや、気概だけなら立派なマスターだが。
だから順番を間違えるなっていうの。一番初めに確認するのは召喚者の務めよ。さあ答えなさい。あなたは私のサーバントなのね。
I step forward aggressively, ready to pounce depending on his answer.
強情なお嬢さんだ。これでは話が進まんな。仕方あるまい。仮に私が君のサーバントだとしよう。で、その場合、君が私のマスターなのか？いやまあ、あくまで仮の話だが。
So freaking stubborn.
当たり前じゃない。あなたが私に呼ばれたサーバントなら、あなたのマスターは私以外に誰がいるっていうのよ。
I glare at this rude man, giving me seething head of a moment to cool down.
そうか。
What was that?
まあ仮の話なんだが、とりあ
Well,
えず
thank you for
そうだとしよ
following.
う。それで、君が私のマスターである証はどこに
In
あ
the
る？
China. Rayat Kaosun is now subscribed. Thank you. Let's see part of the YouTube subscriptions. The servant blithely asks, smirking all the while. He's clearly trying to goad me with these questions into losing my temper.
ここよ。あなたのマスターである証ってこれでしょ。
Command seals. Now, Archer, shit yourself. I show him the command spells on my right hand. Don't think I was born yesterday. Father told me enough that I know what command spells are, at least.
納得いった？これでもまだ文句を言うの？
I thrust the symbols at him in challenge, but the lounging servant rolls his eyes.
まあ言ったな。本気で言っているのか、お嬢さん。
His face darkens, looking even more disgruntled.
本気かってなんでよ。
その考えがだ。霊樹があればマスターなのか？霊樹などサーバントを利する道具に過ぎないだろう。まったく、そんな形だけのものでマスターブルとはな。私が見たかったのは、君が忠誠を振るうにふさわしい人物かどうかだったのだが。
That makes sense. But normally you think of a command spells if someone asks for proof you're a master, right?
何よ。それじゃあ私はマスター
Just tell me your dream. I dreamed becoming king of the pirates. That's a worthy dream of a master, right?
そうはいくまい。霊樹がある以上、私の召喚者
Well,
は
then I think we'll be going to sea now.
信じがたい
Have you ever been a pirate,
君
Archer?
は本当に私のマスターらしいな。
He shrugs in mock exhaustion. Hello. I reached my boiling point, and I'm not going to cool down in time.
全くもって不満だが認めよう。
Stop bullying the poor
と
Tosaka.
りあえず君は私のマスターだ。だが私にも条件がある。私は今後君の言い分には従わない。
He's calling all the
社長
shots.
と私が決めるし、君はそれに従って行動する。これが最大の譲歩だ。それで構わないな、お嬢さん。
Oh, I'm so sorry, Osaka. You got stuck with a really headstrong archer. I'm sorry, father. I'm at my limit.
そう。不満だけど認めるくせに、私の意見には取り合わないってどういうことかしら。あなたは私のサーバントなんでしょ。
I ask in a trembling voice. After I spat over the command spells, this is my last desperate attempt at dialogue. And yet,
まあ、形の上だけはな。故に、形式上は君に従ってやる。だが、戦うのは私自身だ。君はこの家の地下にでも隠れて、聖杯戦争が終わるまでじっとしていればいい。それなら、未熟な君でも命だけは助かるだろう。
I'm pretty sure this is just his way to protect Tosaka. Just stay hidden away. He'll carry the game. That way you don't have to die or risk your life at all.
怒ったのか？いや、もちろん君の立場は尊重するよ。私はマスターを勝利させるために呼ばれたものだからな。私の勝利は君のものだし、戦いで得たものは全て君にくれてやる。どうせ君にレイジは使えまい。まあ、後のことは私に任せて。
And worry about your own skin.
あったまきた。いいわ。そんなに言うなら使ってやろうじゃない。
Oh, wait, this is the part where she uses one of them.
アンファン。
No more mercy. I've got nothing else left for a jackass like this.
まさか。
そのまさかよ、この礼儀知らず。
Oh no.
フィアトラーク、アイノイエナーゲ、アイノイエスケナツ、アイノイエスフィアブレヒン。
Absolute obedience.
待て、正気かマスター。そんなことでレイジを使うやつが。
You idiot.
うるさい。
You pissed her off.
あんたは私のサーバント。なら私の言い分には
Oh
絶対
no.
服従ってもんでしょ。
Archer, you pushed your buttons too much. The emblem on my right hand aches. 3 command spells. They allow Master to issue 3 unbreakable commands to their servants.
考えなさか君は。こんな大雑把なことにレイジを使うなど。
It's too late to whine now. I didn't expect this to happen either. I want to die of self-loathing. I can't believe I just burned one of my precious command spells on a petty squabble. What's done is done. After that, I retreated from the ruins of the parlor and went to my bedroom. Before me stands a servant whom my command spell compelled absolute obedience from. Supposedly, anyway.
なるほど。君の性質は大体理解したぞ、マスター。
Who would call this absolute obedience?
念のため尋ねるが、君はレイジがどれほど重要か理解しているのか？
知ってるわよ。サーバントを律する3回きりの命令権でしょ。それが何よ。
いいかね。レイジはサーバントを強制的に行動させるものだ。それは行動を止めるだけでなく、行動を強化させるという意味でもある。例えば、私はここから遠くの場所まで瞬間的には移動できない。だが、レイジで行けと命じれば、それが私と君の魔力で届くことならば可能となる。強制命令権とはそういうことだ。サーバント自身でも制御できない肉体の限界さえ突破させる大魔術の結晶が3つのレイジュなのだ。
知ってるわよ、そんなこと。 いいじゃない、まだ2つあるんだし。あなたに命じた規則は無駄じゃないんだし。
確かにこれは私の誤算だった。レイジというものは曖昧な命令には効きが弱くなる。私を守り通せ、この戦いに勝てなどといった広く長く効果が続くものにはレイジの力が弱くなる。効き目は長く続くが苦痛が小さいため逆らえるサーバントも出てくるだろう。逆に次の一撃を死ぬ気で放て、あのグラスだけは壊すなといった単一の命令は絶対で、よほど強力なサーバントでも逆らうのは難しくなる。さて、ここまでで私が言いたいことがわかるな。
わかるわよ。要するに広く長い命令は意味がないんでしょ。効果も戒めも薄いならサーバントはレイジに逆らって行動できる。そんな
Kind of like a monkey's paw
命令をする
or
な
something
ら
else.
絶対的な単一の命令をした
Be
方がいい。
hyper specific and make sure you get a lawyer to write out.
そうだ。
I wonder if there's ever a lawyer master. What kind of wish would they make? Something super specific.
代用の効く命令などで消費する具は許されない。君の先ほどのレイジはまさにそれだ。私が君に従うかは話し合いで解決できたことだし、仮にレイジを使ったところで全ての言動に絶対服従などレイジが100あっても実現できない。
じゃあ私のさっきのレイジは無意味ってこと？
通常ならそうなのだがな。どうも君の魔術師としての性能は桁が違ったらしい。
Is he shocked or happy? My servant's lip twitched upward, even as he sighs.
桁が違ったって。ちょっとあなた、自分が今どんな状態なのか正直に話してみなさい。
The implication dawns on me, and I ask him eagerly.
ああ、誤算というのはそれだ。先ほどの命令では少しはマスターの意見を尊重しようという程度の心変わりにしかならない。だが今の私は君の言葉に強い強制を感じている。君の意見に異を唱えると、そうだな、ランクが一つばかり落ちるようだ。つまりマスターの意向に逆らうと体が重くなって動きづらいというところか。
My servant shrugs in resignation. So he's saying that my command spell wasn't a waste, but an actual benefit? He's still being as sarcastic as ever, so it doesn't seem like he had any effect. Besides, even if he's weakened, I doubt even 10 of me could resist if he decided to rebel against me.
前言を撤回しよう、マスター。年齢は若いが、君は卓越した魔術師だ。子供と侮り、戦いから遠ざけようとしたのは私の過ちだった。無礼ともども謝ろう。
The servant straightens his posture and gives me a formal bow.
やめてよ。確かにいろいろ言い合ったけど、そんなの喧嘩両成敗っていうか。
そうか。いや、話のわかるマスターで助かった。
なんか切り返し早いわね、あんた。
何？誤算は誤算だったが、嬉しい誤算というやつだったからな。これほどの才能があるのなら、君を戦いに巻き込むことに異論はない。
Is this his roundabout way of saying I'm a strong master?
じゃあ、レイジ抜きで私がマスターだって認めるのね。
無論だ。先ほどは召喚されたばかりで馴染んでいなかったが、今では完全につながった。魔術師であるのなら、
No death, do they part?
契約
Now that he mentions it, something does feel weird about my body. It's as if my closed-off nerves are now connected to the outside. Specifically, I can feel a portion of my magical energy flowing to the man before me.
そっか。サーバントは聖杯に呼ばれるけど、呼ばれたサーバントをこの世に留めるのは、
そう、マスターの力だ。サーバントは マスターからの魔力提供によってこの世にとどまる。魔力提供量は十分だ。経験的に問題はありそうだが、君の能力は飛び抜けている。普通の魔術師ならばサーバントを召喚した瞬間に意識を失っているだろう。だというのに君は活力に満ちている。先ほどの霊樹といい、この魔力量といい、マスターとして君は間違いなく一流だ。
I can just picture her flattered face. She's blushing. She's pouting and cute. I break eye contact with out of embarrassment. Well, I didn't see this coming. I know the command spell is making him obey me, but still, this superhuman servant is sincerely acknowledging me as his master. Not Saber. I clear my head and return to business.
見てわからないか？ああ、それは結構。
I take it all back. He's definitely making fun of me.
わかったわ。これはマスターとしての質問よ。ねえ、あなたセイバーじゃないの？
残念ながら剣は持っていない。
Liar. I suspected as much. When all is said and done, I got the time wrong, my summoning circle didn't do its job, and my servant was spat out into a random room. It was far too sloppy for a ritual to summon the strongest servant, Saber. I really botched it this time.
悪かったな、セイバーでなくて。
え？ああ、そりゃ通行のミスだから残念だけど、悪いのは私なんだから。
ああ、どうせアーチャーでは派手さに欠けるだろうよ。いいだろう。後で今の暴言を悔やませてやる。その時になって謝っても聞かないからな。
はい？
What a surprise. The unidentified servant seems to be sulking. Maybe my fixation on Saber offended him.
何？勘に触った？あーちゃん。
触った。見ていろ。必ず自分が幸運だったと思い知らせてやる。
Archer retorts with a sidelong glance. He has a really spiteful air about him, but that reaction felt somehow childish and free of malice. You know, he might be a pretty decent guy.
そうね。それじゃあ必ず私を後悔させて、あーちゃん。そうなったら素直に謝らせてもらうから。
ああ、忘れるなよ、マスター。己が召喚したものがどれほどのものか知って感謝するがいい。もっとも、その時になって謝られても、こちらの気は晴れんだろうがな。
Archer huffs, even as his lips twist into a grin. Oh yeah, this one's got a rotten personality, alright?
まあいいわ。それであんた、どこの英霊なのよ。
Archer doesn't answer. His sardonic expression is replaced by a deepening frown.
あーちゃん？マスターである私がサーバントであるあなたに聞いているんだけど。
それは秘密だ。
は？
私がどのようなものだったかは答えられない。
あのね、つまんない理由だったら怒るわよ。
それは。
There's that face again. Archer opens and closes his mouth, as if he's having trouble voicing an uncomfortable truth.
なぜかというと、自分でもわからない。
Wait, what?
はあ？何よそれ！あんた私のことバカにしてるわけ？
マスターを侮辱するつもりはない。ただ、これは君の不完全な召喚のツケだぞ。どうも、記憶に混乱が見られる。自分が何者であるかわかるのだが、名前や素性がどうも曖昧だ。
気にすることはない。気にするわよそんなの。あんたがどんな英霊か知らなきゃどのくらい強いのかわからないじゃない。
なんだ、そんなことは問題ではなかろう。さまつな問題だよ、それは。
さまつってあんたね。相棒の強さがわからないんじゃ作戦の立てようがないでしょ。そんなんで戦っていけるわけないじゃない。
何を言う。私は君が呼び出したサーバントだ。それが最強
He seems straightforward. It's kind of funny. He's so straightforward. I know, right? The Crimson Knight fixes with me a gaze full of confidence and trust. My brain grinds to a halt. There's no deception in Archer's words. He's sincerely giving me more credit than I deserve, even though we just met. My cheeks are burning. I'm sure I'm blushing bright red right now. Surprise attacks like this tend to be my weakness.
もういいか。誰にも正体がわからないってことには変わりはないんだし、敵を騙すにはまず味方からって言うし。
I turn away from Archer to hide from my embarrassment. I'm sure I figured out in due time what sort of servant he is anyway. For now, we have other priorities.
わかった。しばらくあなたの正体に関しては不問にしましょう。それじゃあじゃあ最初の仕事だけど。
早速か。好戦的だな、君は。それで敵は
Before I can say enemy, I toss a broom and dustpan at him. Do your job and clean everything.
下の掃除お願い。あんたが散らかしたんだから責任持ってきれいにしといてね。
His soul left his body. A few seconds pass into stunned silence. When Archer finally regains his senses, he grips the broom indignantly.
待て。君はサーバントを何だと思っている
He goes to go freaking clean.
使い魔でしょ。ちょっと生意気で扱いに困るけど。
Archer cuts himself off. I have no intention of letting him off. And if he wants to weasel out of it, I still have a card to play.
意義あり。そのような命令はこと。
That's your best skill, cleaning the house.
いいの？
BEEMYU.
これマスターとしての命令よ。マスターの方針に逆らったら体が重くなるんだっけ？まあ、あなたはその程度じゃどうってことないだろうけど、そのペナルティは今を掃除するまで続くのよ。
He stands there for several more seconds with a broom in hand, grumbling under his breath. And so the archer in the red mantle closes his eyes.
了解した。地獄に落ちろ、マスター。
And gracefully accepts my order. Grace? Are you sure about that? Now then, it's getting late, so I should rest. I can decide how to deal with him once I wake up. A fateful day draws to a close. No, rather, my fate was shaped by this night. That makes 6, including me. Once the 7th and final master summons their servant, the Holy Grail and this generation will begin. The not-so-distant future. The battle I've been waiting 10 long years for is about to commence. February. Where'd you save? The Holy Grail War. It's a grand ritual that has been repeated for hundreds of years. A fight to the death between 7 participants, of which only one can survive. It is said that the Holy Grail exists in the land of Fuyuki, and that a number of mages fought over it in the past. Their one and only objective was to obtain the relic called the Holy Grail. However, the Grail's origins are unclear. We're sure it isn't the chalice that held the blood of God, but its power is fearsome enough to be compared to the genuine article. That's right. They say that the Holy Grail can grant any wish. Only one person can possess it. the Holy Grail can only grant one wish for one person. Despite that, 7 mages are needed for the summoning of the Grail to this land. 7 collaborators to create one miracle. So as you might imagine, it was only a matter of time before they started fighting over the Grail. Like so many conflicts, it started as a competition over property rights. The 7 mages equally used the power of the Holy Grail to summon their respective familiars, then do battle over the Grail itself. Only one mage can obtain the Grail. As a result, 7 people who started as colleagues ended up in a ferocious battle to the death. That's the gist of it of the ritual, known as the Holy Grail War, a struggle for ownership between mages. The mages chosen by the Holy Grail are called Masters, who use the blessings of the Holy Grail to acquire powerful familiars known as servants. Here they all are. Personally, I feel like I would be an assassin class. 2 things serve as proof that one has become a master: the summoning and the commanding of a servant, and the mark of the command spells to compel the servant's servitude. The first goes without saying. The archer I summoned yesterday, no, a few hours ago to be exact, is Rin Tosaka's servant. As for the second, a master must closely guard the command spells at the control of one servant. This is probably the most critical aspect of becoming a master. When I summoned Archer, symbols appeared on my right hand, namely the command spells, stigmata bestowed by the Holy Grail on the summoning of a servant that marks one's new status as a master. A massive amount of energy is compressed into these seals, whose power is fleeting rather than long-lasting. They disappear once they're used, and as their use shape suggests, each mark represents a single use. In other words, one only gets 3 shots. A master who has used up all 3 command spells can no longer control a servant, and it is as good as dead. Therefore, command spells must be handled with care until the very end, since they're as valuable as one's own life. It pains me to no end that I burned one right off the bat. But it wasn't a total waste, so I'll chalk it up as a win. After all, a servant could turn on its master at any time. If one command spell is what it takes to pull a collar on him, then I consider it a fair trade. That's about it for the broader strokes of this business. Once 7 servants have been summoned, the Holy Grail War will begin. Tonight's sleep will be a fitful one. I don't know whether the final master will appear, but they could be right around the corner. I feel sluggish. My bleary gaze goes up to the window, only to see that it's already bright outside. After a drowsy check of the clock, I make up my mind and skip school lunch today. Skip school entirely? Sitting up in bed, I heave a long sigh. Not being a morning person isn't enough to explain why I feel so dull. I think Archer mentioned something about it. A master would be out of commission after summoning a servant. I remember it all too clearly. I'd rather not, to be honest, but it's not as if denying the facts will let me do it over. I drag myself out of bed. A mental boxing match rages between the outside air, which is quite warm for winter, and the comfort of my bed sheets. It concludes in a 3-second knockout against the temptation of going back to sleep. I check my body in the mirror. Nothing out of place, aside from the loss of half of my usual magic energy. I review the situation. I summon the servant Archer, who doesn't have an ounce of respect for his master. To make matters worse, he doesn't even know who he is. Wow, talk about a headache.
思い出せないんじゃ使いようがないしね。
Servants are strong familiars all on their own, but what makes them truly formidable is the secret weapon they each possess. Frustratingly, Archer claims to have forgotten what his is.
まあ火はこっちにもあるし、なんとかやっていくしかないか。
We're both in the same boat then. I can only pray that he'll sort his memories out, but who knows how long that might take. Good grief. I really got my work cut out for.
あ、見直したかもこれ。
Did he cook? Did he do a specialty dinner? Oh, it's all back to normal. He must have felt bad for wrecking the place. I doubt he would have gone to that much trouble otherwise. I guess I ought to commend him for being a more decent guy than I.
日はとっくに昇っているぞ。また随分とだらしがないんだな、君は。
I retract my statement. There isn't a remorseful bone in his body.
おはよう。そういうあんたは随分とリラックスしてるよね。今を好きか。
何？一晩過ごした部屋だからな。どこに何があるか把握したよ。ああ、ついでだから厨房も片付けておいた。もう少し荒れているかと思ったが、なかなか気の行き届いた厨房だ。一人暮らしの洋館にしては上等だな。
I have a headache. Why do I have to put up with such a servant judging my interior decoration? I thought servants all cared what I was fighting. Are we sure this guy isn't defective?
なるほど。本調子ではなさそうだな。昨夜は元気だったが、睡眠をとって疲れが出たのだろう。紅茶でよければご馳走しよう。
Acting like he owns the place. Without missing a beat, Archer produces a teacup and fills it with the expensive reddish tea he's been brewing. There's a lot I want to say right now, but oddly enough, I can't work up the indignation to. The way he does it all is so refined. I've got to admit it, he might be rather cultured.
まあいいけど。疲れてる
She looked like a little princess.
飲む。
I sit down on the chair. The teacup is placed soundlessly in front of me. I take a sip. Oh, it's delicious. I expected as much, since it's my favorite Chinese tea, a spring harvest Hongsha. I'd be upset if it didn't taste good. On that note, I'd normally be upset if someone used my favorite tea leaves without asking. It makes me mad that the tea was brewed so exquisitely. The pleasure it brings overcomes my anger. He's acting so smug. It's like, yes. Oh yeah, I know the head of the coffin.
ちょっと何笑ってるのよあんた。
It's a precious scene, of course.
何？感想が聞きたかったが、その顔では聞くまでもない。
He's so smug. Now she's not gonna enjoy it anymore. Oh, it's your favorite tea. Go ahead, drink more. That's what you want, don't you? Don't be so spiteful.
熱いうちに味わった方がいいぞ。私が気に障るなら消えているが。
ごちそうさま。結構よ。私は茶坊主が欲しくてマスターになったわけじゃないわ。あなたもね、頼みもしないことをする必要はないわよ。
So stubborn.
そうか。確かに私も茶坊主になったり、後片付けをするために契約したわけではない。
ええ。私が求めているのは戦力としての使い魔よ。家事をこなすサーバントなんて聞いたことがないし、する必要も特にないわ。
Oh, he can do anything. He can cook, he can clean.
特にはないとはどういう意味かな。
別に好きなようにとって結構よ。それより
Mama
あな
Emiya.
た自分の正体を思い出せた？
Archer shakes his head in the negative. That doesn't bode well. If he can't remember after a single night, then his memories probably won't return easily. There are some measures I can try today, but...
わかった。あなたの記憶に関してはおいおい対策を考えとく。 じゃあ出かける支度をして、はーちゃん。召喚されたばかりで勝手もわからないでしょ。街を案内してあげるから。
出かける支度？いや、そんな必要はないだろう。出るのならばすぐに出られるが。
あのね、そんな格好で出歩くつもり？どう見ても普通じゃないし、他のマスターが見たら一発でサーバントってわかるじゃない。私、自分から私はマスターですなんて言いふらす気はないんだけど。
ああ、そういうことか。それも問題はない。確かに着替える必要はあるが、それは実体化している時だけでね。サーバントはもともと霊体だ。非戦闘時には霊体になってマスターにかける負担を減らす。
ああ、そっか。召喚されたって英霊は英霊だものね。霊体に肉体を与えるのはマスターの魔力なんだから、私が魔力提供をカットすれば。
Will he die?
自然。我々も霊体に戻る。そうなったサーバントは守護霊のようなものだ。レイラインでつながっているマスター以外には観測されない。もっとも会話程度はできるから偵察ならば支障はないが。
わ、便利。それじゃあ本当に他のマスターを探し出すなんて難しいんだ。
ああ。だが魔術師は魔術師を知覚できるだろう。それと同じでサーバントもサーバントを感知できる。優れた魔術を知るサーバントならば遠く離れたサーバントの位置さえ把握するだろう。
Archer hesitant one. Masters are supposed to be capable mages. The more magical energy the mage has, the better they are at detecting traces of magical energy. As far as I know, however, there isn't anyone else around with that degree of power.
で、あんたはどうなの？他のサーバントの位置、わかる？
マスター、私のクラスは何か忘れたのか？遠く離れた敵の位置を探るなど、騎士上がりにできるものか？
He has a point. Archer's magical energy isn't on that level. It's likely that the only magical power a caster is capable of easily locating distant foes.
わかったわ。じゃあ、とりあえず後についてきて、はーちゃん。あなたの呼び出された世界を見せてあげるから。
そう目新しいものではなさそうだがね。それよりマスター、君、大切なことを忘れていないか？
え？大切なことって何？
School?
まったく。君、まだ本調子ではないぞ。契約において最も重要な交換を私たちは未だしていない。
契約において最も重要な交換。
Is he demanding equivalent exchange? No, that can't be it. The chance to take part in the Holy Grail War is already enough reward for the servant.
君な、朝は弱いんだな、本当に。
Archer sounds so exasperated. His oh so sardonic manner of speech finally gives me an idea. Come to think of it, he's never once called me by my name.
ああ、しまった。名前。
思い当たったか？まあ、今からでも遅くはないさ。それでマスター、君の名前は？これからは何と呼べばいい？
Archer sounds sulky. Oh man, he really is a decent person. I'm sure of it now. After all, there's no tangible benefit to exchanging names. Servants are forcibly bound to their masters by their command spells. While names are key to contracting with a regular familiar, there's no need for a master and servant to be so intimate. But it's important for Archer. He's clearly trying to establish trust between comrade and arms, regardless of their command spells.
私、遠坂凛よ。あなたの好きなように呼んでいいわ。
I answered in a clipped tone, unwilling to let slip of any admiration. So stubborn. He probably just called me something like impersonal like master or hey you, which works out just fine for me. Except, Archer chews on Rin Tosaka for a moment.
それではリンと
First name.
この響きは実に
He's
君
so
に
happy to even say that. He says something really forward.
リンどうした何やら顔色がおかしいが
うるさい。いいからさっさと行くわよ、あーちゃん。とにかくのんびりしてる暇なんてないんだから。
I turn on my heel and storm away, huffing. This is so infuriating, I'm not even sure why. Damn that Archer. Did he say that just to mess with me?
ありえる。こいつなら絶対そうだ。
Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Must be part of his plan just to get me all flustered. I'd better be careful. Gotta work with this wise guy from here on out. I take Archer outside. Fuyuka City, my hometown, is broadly divided into two halves. There's Miyama, which is left over from the village that the city grew out of, and Shinto, the developing modern region across the river. My house is in Miyama, the old part. Miyama itself is split into two areas. The European-style neighborhoods, originally inhabited by the immigrants from abroad, and the old Japanese-style houses, set against the mountainous backdrops. Both areas are situated on hilltops, along the outskirts of the town. The street dividing the two residential areas is fairly normal by comparison. How normal, you ask? This normal. This is the crossroads of Miyama. On one side, the road going up the hill to the European neighborhoods where I live. Opposite, it is the road to the Japanese houses, and between them is the path leading to Shinto, where my school and the shopping areas are, as well as Ryoto Temple in the mountains. We come to the bridge connecting Shinto and Miyama. Years ago, a big train station went up in Shinto, bringing with it frenzied urbanization. They may belong to the same municipality, but Miyama and Shinto couldn't be more different. The name Fuyuki, written with the kanji for winter tree, is supposed to be inspired by the long winters here, which, by the by, are pretty long. Despite that, temperatures are warm. February here is only about as cold as the very start of winter elsewhere. I bet if you randomly started digging, you'd turn up a hot spring or two. Though of course, our temperature weather disqualifies this town as a hot spring resort location. We've got an odd climate where the mild winter suddenly turns to springtime blooming come April. This is what Shinto looks like. A number of tall buildings have been erected as if in a hurry, giving the hastily developed city a distinctly artificial feel. It all happened in the last decade or so. 10 years ago, there was a large fire that wiped out a residential area. Someone built a bunch of glass and metal buildings on the populated land. Oh, look at these woods, they look freaking scary. And here is the center of it all.
ここがシントの公園よ。これで主だったところを歩いて回ったわけだけど、感想は？
Those trees look so creepy. I ask Archer who's next to me. Of course, he is invisible.
広い公園だ。だというのに人気がないのは何か理由でもあるのか。
やっぱりそう見える？まあ、ここはちょっとした曰くがあるから。
I look out over to the park. You think that a wide open space like this would have children playing in it, even on a weekday. But instead, there's only a handful of people. The place feels dull and lifeless.
10年前の話よ。この辺り一帯で大きな火事があったんだって。火は一日燃え続けて、雨が降り出した頃に消えたんだとか。その後町は復興したけど、ここだけはそのままなの。焼け野原になって 何もなくなったから公園にしたらしいわ。
Archer says nothing, but I can tell he sensed something odd, even if I can't see him.
気づいたみたいね。そうよ。ここが前回の聖杯戦争決着の地。私も事情は知らないけど、前回の聖杯戦争はここで終結してそれきり。
なるほど。それでこんなにもここは怨念に満ちているというわけか。
わかるの？そういうの。
サーバントというのは霊体だ。そのあり方は怨念、猛襲に近い。故に同じ無念には敏感なのさ。街中でも濃い場所はあるが、ここは別格だ。
Another world.
我らから見れば固有結界のそれに近い。
Tosaka mutters under her breath. Archer's inflectionless voice mentions an unusual bit of magical jargon. Innate bounded fields. Mages call them reality marbles. Reality marbles are considered one of the apexes of magecraft. They're said to be infinitely close to true magic. For the last few centuries, bounded fields have served as mages' defensive barriers. To put it in simple terms, they're like a home security system with real teeth. Bounded fields are conventionally erected on a piece of land or a building to guard against outside threats. They're merely an alteration of an area that already exists. Reality marbles, however, are something else entirely. You can think of them as a space that consumes reality itself. When a mage materializes their own imaginary world, a representation of their mind, and overwrites the real world within it, we call the resulting field about reality marble. It's a large area of magecraft that rebuilds the world according to the mage's wishes.
リー、どうした？考え事か？
ちょっと意外だったから。こういう結界だなんて、アーチャーのくせに珍しい言葉を知ってるなって。
なんだ、知っていてはおかしいか？
だってそうじゃない。こういう結界っていうのは魔術師にとっては禁忌中の禁忌、奥義の中の奥義だもの。アーチャーであるあなたが知ってるなんて筋違いよ。
I shoot a quizzical gaze in his general direction. In reply, I feel incorporated sigh.
リン、英雄とは剣術、魔術に長けたものを指す。
Trying to dodge the question.
アーチャーだからといって弓しか使えないと思うのは勝手だが、私以外のサーバントにそんな楽観は持たないでくれ。
Oof. That does make sense when he puts it like that.
わかったわよ。今のは軽率な発言だったわ。次からは気をつけるからこれでいいでしょ。
リン、ズバリ言おう。君は優秀だが、それゆえに他人を過小評価する欠点がある。成人するまでには強制したまえ。
何気に失礼なこと言うわね、あんた。
Riddick may have it. He's talking about me like some unruly racehorse.
いや、失礼。別にリンがジャジャ馬だと言ったわけではない。単にイメージ通りの表現を使っただけというか。
なおさら悪いわ。
Pain? My right hand suddenly flares with pain.
リン、
ちょっと黙って、あーちゃん。
The command spells on my right hand hurts. They're throbbing, almost like a dual alarm, warning their owner.
誰かに見られてる。
I mentally weave a detection web and cast it out over the park.
私じゃ見つけられない。あーちゃん、あなたは？
難しいな。私には視線すら感じられん。
ってことは、見てるのはマスターね。
I don't know who it is, But if Archer can't tell, then it must be a master. We don't have all 7 yet, but the fighting could still start at any time. Maybe who is watching me is up for an early skirmish.
レイジはレイジに反応する。マスターであるのなら、誰がマスターであるかは出会えば感じられる。
ええ。けど、高位の術者なら自分の魔力ぐらい隠し通せる。いくら霊樹同士が反応するって言っても、その霊樹だって魔力で発動するものよ。
厄介だな。では、こちらはいいように位置を知らせているということか。
They're getting caught. Since the Lancer attacked him, it's probably Kiri that noticed them right now. Maybe he's on his way from eating mapo tofu. Oh, by the way, I was eating mapo tofu today. It's really good. It's really garlicky.
そう。だって隠さなければ向こうからやってきてくれるでしょ。
Archer doesn't respond. Maybe he's irritated with me.
何よ。自信過剰はいけないって言いたいの？
I ask, a little defensive, thinking of our earlier exchanges. Archer mentally brushes the question aside.
君はそのままが一番強い。小物には付きまとわせてやるがよかろう。
I can feel the smirk in his tone. I'm not saying I like what he said, but it is enough of an olive branch, I suppose. We start walking around town again. It's nighttime. I spend the day taking him to all the important places, and even drop by some less insignificant spots that might be useful to know. After dinner, I make for our final stop. It's now 7 in the evening. This is a good chance to show him the best vantage point in the city. The wind howls. We're atop the tallest building in Shinto. The commanding view of the city makes for a fitting end to our tour.
どう？ここなら見通しがいいでしょ、あーちゃん。
将来君と付き合う男に同情する。
We're going here, then here, then here. You're buying me this. Now we're going up here. Don't fall.
あ？何か言った？あーちゃん。
素直な感想を少し。と、確かにいい場所だ。初めからここに来れば歩き回る必要もなかったのだが。
何言ってるのよ。確かに見晴らしはいいけど、ここからわかるのは街の前景だけじゃない。実際にその場に行かないと街の作りはわからないわ。
そうでもないが、アーチャーのクラスは伊達ではないぞ。旧兵は目が良くなければ務まらん。
そうなの？それじゃあここから家が見える？あーちゃん。
いや、さすがに隣町までは見えない。せいぜい橋あたりまでだな。
嘘？タイルって橋のタイル？
I didn't expect his vision to be as good as the telescopes I often see on rooftops. Sharp-eyed, doesn't even begin to cut it.
びっくり。アーチャーって本当にアーチャーなんだ。
リン、まさかとは思うが、君。
No, he's actually Satan.
バカにしているんじゃないだろうな。
そんなわけないでしょ。たださ、あなたってアーチャーって言われには弓使いっぽくないから、つい勘違いしてただけ。
それは問題発言だ。帰ってから追求しよ
う。With that, Archer goes quiet for a while. He must like the landscape from up here. He's probably considering the layout of the city. I shouldn't interrupt him while he's thinking. I step away from Archer and approach the edge of the rooftop. All I can see from here are the lights below. Headlights flow through the streets, and can make out people on the way home from work. I can't tell what kinds of cars they are, or who exactly is walking. I can see them, but not clearly. It's not unlike how I could tell someone was watching me earlier, even if I couldn't pinpoint them.
少なくとも神道を根城にしている奴が一人いる。
I squint down toward the ground. There are 7 masters in total. I don't know who they are, nor which servants are with them. At this point, every master is probably gathering intelligence on their rivals. Suddenly, I feel someone's eyes on me. There's no reflection from my command spells. I simply sense that someone else is looking at me. I peer down. People are walking on the street, but one in particular is gazing up at me, as if staring at the moon. I'm not exactly sure who that is. I can't say for certain, and yet I know exactly who. I can't believe that guy. What's he doing out this late?
リン、敵を見つけたのか?
Archer calls out to me. Maybe he can make out of my rising hostility.
別にただの知り合い。私たちには関係のない一般人よ。
Unable to clamp it down, I irritably snap back at him and step away from the roof's edge. He couldn't have seen me from the ground. I'm sure it was just a coincidence. I haven't given myself away, and yet, my mage sight is screaming at me for allowing a night witness to catch sight of me. By the time I get back to Miyama, it's 9 p.m. Unlike Shinto, Miyama is mostly residential. After 9, there isn't really anyone outside, and the streets are as silent as can much later at night.
こんなところね。町の作りは大体わかった？
ん？ああ。町のことならわかる。あとはおいおい掴んでいくさ。
なら今日はここまでね。私もまだ本調子じゃないし、家に戻って休みましょう。
Then go home and sleep. Except, I start up the hill at a relaxed pace when I notice someone up ahead.
あれ、さくら？
Uh-oh. Now would not be a good time to run into her. Go the other way.
リン、何を隠れている？
黙ってて。うん。あそこにいるの知り合いなのよ。今日は学校休んだし、あんまり顔を合わせたくないの。
As I answer, I keep an eye on her. In the middle of the street, there's the first year student I know, and Gilgamesh, the Heaven Seal route when they're meeting each other, and a foreigner I don't know. They're talking. No, it looks like he's trying to pick her up. Or she'd rather be anywhere else.
リン、知り合いとは外国人の方か？
いいえ、知らない。この辺りは洋館が多いから、どっかよそから遊びに来てるんじゃない？
Even as I finish the sentence, I'm mentally telling myself off for being so soft on the girl.
あ、じゃあ、あいつ人間？
さあ、実態はあるから人間なのだろう。少なくともサーバントではない。
そうよね。マスターでもないし、ただの血は喧嘩か。
We're so close and yet so off. Though, even I know that she isn't the sort to get caught up in something like that.
二人とも言ったな。女は坂を登っていく。男は。
The blonde-haired man descends via the street we came by. He definitely noticed. Like, oh, I see.
それじゃああなたはここを使って。私はもう眠るけど、何か質問はある？
とりわけ重要な疑問はない。すぐに戦闘を仕掛けない君の判断は正しいよ。今夜は魔力の回復を行うべきだろう。
ええ。それじゃあ明日、今朝の紅茶をよろしくね。
Once I'm back in my room, the fatigue washes over me.
そうだ。眠る前に綺麗に連絡しないと。
That annoying priest left me a message. By now he's probably sent for the backup mage. It isn't my problem, but he is my legal guardian. I owe him a phone call at least.
で、 けど昨日サーバントと契約したから正式にマスター登録お願い。
There is a brief pause. Kiri's silence is deafening. I can feel its weight even though the earpiece.
いいだろう。ではどうする？一度こちらに顔を出さないか。君のご両親から預かっているものもある。君がマスターになった場合にのみ成人前に伝えてほしいと頼まれている。
It's the knife, isn't it?
ああ、それって父さんの遺言のこと？それならもう解読して手に入れたからいいわ。それじゃ気が向いたらお邪魔するからよろしく。
待てリン。マスターになったのなら
Just ignore him. It's not a good idea to associate with him. I hang up before he finishes. That's what you get. So you freaking deserve, Kirei. You had to listen to Kiri's nagging while I'm this tired. I have a feeling my magical energy will be drained away instead of recovering.
さて、
Go to sleep.
これで
Just ignore Kirei. Don't bother with him. All that's left is to sleep. Once I open my eyes, it'll be a brand new day. 10 years ago, my father fought as a mage in the Holy Grail War and lost. Now it's my turn to risk it all for the same prize. From February 2nd. Guess I'll just save after every day. And after breakfast, I'll lay out my plans for the day.
何？学校に行くだと？
ええ、何か問題あるかしら、あっちゃん。
問題はないが、しかしそれは。
Archer looks reluctant, but doesn't protest. After spending a whole day with me, he probably understands now that Rin Tosaka doesn't go back on her word once she's made up her mind. I can sense his disagreements even if he doesn't voice it. But I've also learned that Archer has a sincere side beneath all the sarcasm. He won't whine about a decision he's accepted. Yep, he's loyal and awkward like that. That's what my intuition says, at least after watching him yesterday.
リン、マスターになったからには常に敵マスターを警戒しなくてはならない。学校という場は不意の襲撃に備えにくい場所だ。
そんなことはないけどね。いいあっちゃん。私はマスターになったからって今までの生活を変える気はないわ。それにマスター同士の戦いは人目を避けるものでしょ。それなら人目につく学校にいれば不意打ちされることはまずないと思うけど。
そうか。リンがそう決めたのなら私は従うだけだ。だが霊体化して君の護衛をするぐらいはいいのだろうな。まさか学校に行っている間
Oh,
は
he's
ここに
looking
いる
after her.
などとは言うまい。
当たり前じゃない。学校に限らず外に出るときはそばにいてもらうからね。マスターを守るのもサーバントの役割なんだから。頼りにしてるわ。
それを聞いて安心した。信頼に応えるのは騎士の務め。せいぜい期待に沿うとしよう。だがリン、もしもの話だが、その安全な場所に敵がいたとしたらどうする？
何？学校にマスターがいるかもしれないってこと？
Is there a master at school? Who could that be? Literally everyone else.
そうだ。確かに学び屋には生徒と教師以外は入りにくいが、すでに内部の者がマスターだとしたら厄介ではないのか？
それはないんじゃないかな。この町には魔術師の家系は遠坂とあと一つしかないの。そのあと一つっていう家系は落ちぶれてるし、マスターにもなってないし。
マスターになっていないとどうしてわかる？
あのね、うち以外に魔術師の家系がいるんなら真っ先に確かめるのは当然でしょ？
Did she not know about the mottos and Einsbergs?
そいつマスターにはなってなかったし、あっちの家系の後継者にはマスターになるだけの魔力がないから無視して構わないわ。
He isn't a master. As the heir to that family, he can't wield the strength to become one. He can safely ignore them.
そうか。つまりリンの通う学校にはもう一人魔術師がいるのだな。だがマスターになれるほどの魔力を持ち合わせていないと。
そういうことだから、他のマスターは外からやってくる連中が大半のはず。そんな連中が学校にまでやってくることはないでしょう。
まあ今の段階ではな。だがリン、何事にも例外は存在する。もし学校に君が知らない魔術師がいたとしたらどうする？
だからいないってば。魔術師っていうのは他の同業に敏感なの。1年も同じ学校にいたらね、どんなに隠してても魔
And
術師の
yet she
存在
never
は
sensed
感じられ
Shiro.
る。断言するけど、うちの学校に魔術師は2人しかいないわ。そのうちの1人が私で、もう1人はマスターになるだけの力がない魔術師見習いなの。わかった？アーチャーの用心はただの杞憂よ。そんなこと絶対にありえないんだから。
だからもしもの話だ。物事には常に裏目が存在する。本来ありえざることが起こるのもまた運命だ。もしそういった事態になった場合、私に八つ当たりをするのだけは思いとどまってほしいと言っているのだ。
Archer chuckles dryly. His smug attitude makes me want to do exactly that. But I'll be late for school if I let him keep pushing my buttons.
そんなことあるわけないじゃない。もしもの話っていうのは起きないからもしもの話なのよ。もしそんなことになったら、その時は私の見通しが甘かったってだけなんだから。
よし、確かに聞いたぞ。それでは
Then I go to school. I wonder if it's ever prom. We'd take Archer to prom. Look who I brought.
驚いた。もしもの話って
ああ、私も驚いている。いや、何事もケチをつけておくものだな。思わぬところで役に立った。
This is our exchange the moment we pass through the front gate. It's almost time for homeroom, so there are students on their way to class. All around us, Archer and I stand still like a pillar amid the swirling human sea.
空気がよどんでるどころの話じゃない。これ、もう結界が張られてない？
完全にではないが、すでに準備は始まっているようだな。ここまで派手にやっているということは、よほどの大物か。
とんでもない素人ね。異常を感じさせる結界なんて三流だもの。やるんなら仕掛ける時まで隠し通しておくのが一流よ。
で、君はどちらだと思う？リン。
さあ、一流だろうが三流だろうが知ったことじゃないわ。私のテリトリーでこんなゲスなもの仕掛けたやつなんて問答無用でぶっ倒すだけよ。
I let out an indignant huff as I cross through the grounds. As a mage, there's no sugarcoating it. I won't be satisfied until whoever made this bounded field gets what's coming to them. On my way back to the music room after the second period, I saw the first year floundering in the hallway. She looks like she could be using a hand with a large stack of documents she's carrying.
手伝うわ、さくら。
Aw, sisters are back.
何、プリント？世界史って言ったらうちの担任じゃない。クズキのやつ、女生徒に使いをさせるなんて何考えてんだか。ほら。はい、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
いいっていいって。それじゃあこれ、さくらのクラスまで？くっ 月先生のところです。誤字があったから回収するって言ってました。納得。くずきは融通きかないからね。
He once suspended an entire exam over a single typo, bruh.
試験って学校の試験はですか？そう。あれは去年の中間試験だったかな。みんながガーッとマークシートを塗りつぶしてる時にやってきてね。誤字があるので正しい問題ではなかった。よって試験は中止。後日改めて行うってあの調子で淡々と言ったのよ。私たちも驚いて、なんかくずき先生らしいですね。それ先生、物を教える立場に間違いは許されないって人ですから。くずきのは度が過ぎてるけどね。さくらもそのうち思い知るわよ。くずきの堅物ぶりったら岩か山かって感じなんだから。お父さんが先輩、くずき先生のことが好きなんですね。先輩がそんな風に言うなんて珍しいです。そう？
Kuzuki the one with the glasses?
確かにくずきはもうちょっと柔軟性があればなって思うけど。
Though he's alright just the way he is, ultimately. The faculty at our school is made up of both really nice teachers and some really scary ones. It's like a delicate balance that Mr. Kuzuki is an important part of. He's the stick to the carrot. He teaches ethics. Why is she blushing?
たまたま。それであれ何だったの？知り合い？いいえ、それがよくわからない人だったんです。あの人、道に迷ってたみたいでした。いろいろ聞いてくるんだけど、何を言ってるのか聞き取れなくて、
The pain. I know she's going through something where we can't help her in this route. I hate this. Reminds me of what Alonso said that one time. Believing your dreams. And that's when she slipped away.
そっか。ごめんなさい。少しだけ気になったから。いえ、構いません。ここまででいいです先輩。あとは届けるだけですから。そう？それじゃあまたね。
I've returned the printouts to Sakura. But before I head back to my classroom, I find myself stopping.
最近はどう？はい、大丈夫。
She's not doing well.
そう。シンジがまた何かやったら言いなさい。あいつはどってものを知らないから。黙っていると悪化する一方よ。心配いりませんよ。
Stop smiling like that.
兄さん、この頃は優しいんですから。
There isn't much I can say to smile like that. We say our farewells again and I leave the underclassmen acquaintance. School day is over, the classroom is gently empty, and the campus darkens by the hour. The crimson sun will set soon. Once night falls, there won't be anyone left around.
始めるわよ、あーちゃん。まずは結界の下調べ。どんな結界かを調べてから消すか残すか決めましょう。
I speak to my invisible partner. I feel him nod in acknowledgement. Bounded fields are meant to protect their casters. You can consider them as a terrain-based magecraft formed by weaving magical energy into a net and applying it to the earth to affect the inside of the field. There are countless types of effects they can have, ranging from wards that isolate the area from the outside world to avoid detection, to fields that limit the type of magecraft that can be activated within. The most offensive type suppresses biological functions inside the area of effect. And that's what has been applied to the school grounds. While it isn't finished, everyone in the school will collapse once it's activated. Something like that wouldn't work on me though. Bounded fields are, after all, targeted at the area I'm in, not me specifically. Such indirect magical interference wouldn't affect the mage with magical energy flowing through her body. Similarly, the electrical charges that flow in the atmosphere won't disturb the electrical currents within my body. That means the bounded field has some other purpose. Whoever put it on that thing isn't trying to defeat a master with it. I don't want to believe it, but they're targeting all the people within the school. There's only one possible reason for that. It's a thought I can't stomach. After checking the all around campus, I finished my search on the roof. It's thoroughly dark outside now. School gates shut off at 6 p.m. and now it's 8 p.m. Archer and I are the only ones left, and Archer is in his spirit form.
これで7つ目か。とりあえずここが起点みたいね。
It's supposed to be like Medusa's seal, right? They look like snakes. That makes the 7th one. It looks like this is the origin point. They're all purplish red marks that only a mage can see. I've never seen or heard sigils like these.
参ったな。これ私の手には負えない。
Whoever set up this bounded field did it recklessly. But while imprudent, the magical working itself is an order of magnitude beyond my own skills. I could temporarily erase the energy of the curse, but I have no way to dispel the bounded field itself. All the spellcaster needs to do is supply with more energy to reactivate the curse's effects. Archer doesn't comment. He's probably remained silent since encountering the rooftop sigils because he too has realized their nature. This bounded field does more than drain its victims' stamina. It will literally melt anyone in sight once it's turned on. There are bounded fields that which rob victims of their life force and spiritual energy. But the spell that's been applied to the school grounds is on a whole different level. This is no less than a soul eater, a blood fort that melts the humans' bodies inside it and forcibly collects the souls that ooze out. Since antiquity, souls have always been difficult to handle. They're theorized to exist and are considered to be necessity components of magecraft, but only one mage has ever proven their existence. Our definition of souls stops at that which examines within, and that which is transferred beyond vessels. To not only extract souls, but then capture them in one place, it defies the comprehension. What's a mage supposed to do with a bunch of energy we can't even convert? So if I had to think of a purpose for it, feeding a servant.
あーちゃん、あなたたちってそういうもの？
It comes out colder than I intended.
ご推察の通りだ。我々は基本的に霊体だと言っただろう。故に食事は第二ないし第三要素となる。君たちが肉を栄養とするように、サーバントは精神と魂を栄養とする。栄養を取ったところで基本的な能力は変わらないが、取り入れれば取り入れるほどタフになる。つまり魔力の貯蔵量が上がっていくというわけだ。
He's right. The way to make your own servant stronger is to indiscriminately attack human
マ
beings.
スターから提供される魔力だけじゃ足りないってこと？
足りなくはないが、大いに越したことはない。実力が劣る場合、弱点を武士で補うのが戦争だろう。周囲の人間からエネルギーを奪うのはマスターとしては基本的な戦略だ。そういった意味で言えば、この結界は効率がいい。
Archer's saying that I should murder people and take their power if I want to win. It's so simple. I've always known this to be true, and I know it's the path I'm supposed to walk.
それ勘に触るわ。二度と口にしないで、あーちゃん。
Staring at the sigils, I make my stance clear. Oddly, Archer sounds just as put off.
同感だ。私も真似をするつもりはない。
His answer comes firm and resolute.
さて、それじゃ消そうか。無駄だろうけど、とりあえず邪魔をするぐらいにはなる。
I approach the sigil and extend my left hand. The magic crest engraved on my arm is like a grimoire passed down through the Tosaka line. A mental switch is flicked. I pass magical energy through the magic crest, load a verse of Boundary Field Erasure, take a deep breath and activate it. I then send a pulse of my magical energy via my left hand. That should wash away the sigil for now. There he is! Suddenly, a third voice chimes in while casting the spell. I whirl around. Lancer. Top dog, blue dog. A man is perched on top of the water tower, some 10 meters above, looking down at me. He's clad in deep blue that blends into the night. His mouth is drawn into a grin, and he has a bestial air about him. The beast's gaze is sharp and clear. Is this bizarre situation? The man in blue watches me as he is greeting a friend he hasn't seen in a decade.
これ、あなたの仕業？
いや、小細工を浪するのは魔術師の役割だ。俺たちはただ命じられたまま戦うのみ。だろ？そこの兄さんよ。
Looking at Nissan, yo. His tone is lethal yet carefree. This man can see Archer.
やっぱりサーバント。
そうとも。で、それがわかるお嬢ちゃんは俺の敵ってことでいいのかな？
My spine tenses. The man's voice is detached and nonchalant, but it's colder than anyone I've ever heard. So scary, it's nauseating. What's the best move here? I don't know. But my brain is still working enough to tell me that I absolutely must not fight him.
ほう、大したもんだ。何もわからねえようで要点は抑えてやがる。ああ、失敗したなこりゃ。面白がって声をかけるんじゃなかったぜ。
The man raises an arm. It appears in a flash. His one empty hand now holds Gay Bolg. A scarlet 2-meter-long weapon. My legs throw me to the side before I can think. There isn't time to even hesitate about jumping off the roof. With all my might, I make a mad dash for the fence, intending to barrel right through it. Archer, what are you doing? A cyclone lifts my hair into the air. It's by the skin of my teeth. In that instant, something slices through the space I was just in, tearing a fence apart with it. A blue whirlwind pursues me. There's no way out. The fence is behind me. My flanks are cut off. I won't make it. I react swiftly. Magic Crest surges to life, and it can weave a single count magecraft. The spell lightens mass and manipulate gravity. Light as a feather, my body bounds into the air. And I jump over the fence and plummet off the roof. Air resistance and gravity push and pull me along my body. It's about 15 meters to the ground, 1.7 seconds away. Too slow. It's going to catch up to me. I let Archer absorb the shock of the landing and break into a dash as soon as he touched down. Couldn't stay on the rooftop. We need a less cramped area which we can maneuver freely. A battlefield without obstacles, where Archer and I can truly shine. It takes me less than 7 seconds to escape from the roof to the schoolyard. A distance of over 100 meters, crossed at a pace of 2 normal person could even manage, much less clearly see. And yet, he's already there.
本気でいい足だ。ここで仕留めるのはいささかもったいなさすぎるか。
Against the servant, it's wasted effort. At the same time, I draw back and an archer materializes before me. It's a cloudy night. Archer's hand grips a sword that faintly reflects the moonlight. The man's lips twist into an ominous sneer.
いいね。そう来なくっちゃ。話が早いやつは嫌いじゃない。
The whirlwind howls. It's the weapon he swung at me on the rooftop. A spear of blood-like crimson that came mercilessly from our head.
ランサーのサーバント。
いかにも。そういうあんたのサーバントはセイバー。
Saber?
って感じじゃねえな。何者だ、てめえ。
Gone is his carefree ease from a moment ago. Archer stayed silent, facing off against Lancer's unconcealed bloodlust. There's just under 5 meters between them. Lancer's weapon is nearly 2 meters long. It doesn't feel like this beast of a man is going to be deterred by a mere 3-meter difference.
まっとうな一騎打ちをするタイプじゃねえな、てめえは。ってことは、アーチャーか。
Archer doesn't take the bait. An unusual clash of blue and red stare each other down. The two knights, somewhat similarly dressed, mutually calculate each other's demise.
いいぜ。好みじゃねえが、出会ったからにはやるだけだ。そら、獲物を出せよ、アーチャー。
A bow? Archer with a bow? Haven't you ever heard? Archers don't actually use bows. They just throw stuff at you. Archer doesn't answer. His back, as steely as a sword, seems to convey that. He must not have anything to say with someone he must defeat. That's when I realize it. I'm such a fool. Archer was waiting for my word. I call out to him without getting any closer. Was that a laugh? The Red Knight surges forward, his lip curled in response. Wind swirls. A scarlet bullet flies forth, blade in hand. A blue spear thrusts and intercepts him. If the charging archer is in a gust of wind, the spirit that rises to meet him is a divine storm. Streaking blades, elegant parries. Archers put on the defensive, fending off the swift thrust with his short sword. The man in red is stopped in his tracks, his advance denied by the enemy. He can't even breach a 2-meter coverage with a spear. A polearm wielders can control his opponent's range. Lancer, with his nearly 2-meter reach, needs to simply engage his foe whenever he comes within range. It's easier for him to stab the advancing opponent than it is for him to go after Archer himself. Despite this, Lancer goes the distance himself to press the attack, all the while keeping Archer from advancing further. Lancer's snarl is fiery. With each thrust, Lancer comes in, the assault never letting up for a second. Moving in too close is suicide for a spear wielder. The advantage of the spear is its ability to control the enemy's position. Lancer shouldn't have a chance if he keeps closing in. That's only according to the conventional wisdom. Unerringly, unceasingly, Lancer's spear seeks to pierce Archer's throat, shoulder, forehead, and heart. The strikes are too swift to even leave an after image. Archer is forced to parry, block, or evade every move of the spear. Any strike, if true, would be a mortal blow. Still, Archer is a servant. Even if he specializes with a bow, he won't be brought down so easily by mundane attacks. He thrusts at his forehead, is quickly batted aside, and Archer renews his charge in spite of the Lancer's spear. One might think that swordplay is all there is to Archer's tactics, but he's exploiting a weakness of the spear tactics. Against the spear's considerable reach, neither retreat nor evasion are viable defenses for long. I've had hard withdrawal isn't enough to get out of range. Our probing attacks will lead to evisceration. Our reckless charge will similarly end in implements at the edge of the spear's range. Archer and Lancer have more or less the same physical stature. Without heavy armor, it's difficult for Archer to penetrate the lethal storm of Lancer's attack radius. But Lancer strikes are a different story. The high-speed thrusts, intended to pierce the vital points, are indeed terrifying. But each strike has a set trajectory and a target. If one can protect these, then there are ways to avoid them. Just as Archer is doing, one can block the strikes aimed at vital points, or just barely evade the arcs to create safe openings. Lancer probably underestimated him as a range specialist. The advantage of a long weapon is the generous range at which one can engage the opponent. By giving that up, Lancer has assured his. The man in red stops in his tracks. I watch a nightmare unfold. As if time has rewinded, Lancer's attacks become even faster than before. Archer's short sword is knocked aside as he twists to avoid being skewered. Lancer's spear doesn't allow retreat. Or rather, his endless attacks are so fierce and sharp that even servants are doomed against them. We were the ones who underestimated our enemy. That servant, that Lancer and his spear can't be described in mundane martial terms. Who could possibly survive such a relentless barrage? Archer beats a desperate retreat while parrying his strikes, creating slightly more distance between the fighters. In that moment, Lancer steps into a gap and unleashes even more ferocious attacks. The storm of attacks is little different from what he was already been doing, but their execution is truly godlike. They've already clashed 10 times. No, it's actually several times more than that. The torrent of spear strikes is increasing again in intensity and number, threatening to take Archer's life 1,000 times over. It isn't even a change in speed, but in precision. At a steady pace, Lancer's spear comes down like an archer like a waterfall. How can Archer get inside his guard? Such a short weapon, all he can do is defend against the spear. He has no ways to close in on a Lancer. In fact, he's being forced backwards. The steel vacuum stretches out. I should be able to back up Archer up. The right words die in my throat. My magecraft isn't easy to aim precisely. I risk hitting Archer too if I can't get too far away enough from Lancer. Meanwhile, Lancer's advantages will only deepen. And to be honest, I'm captivated by their duel. So this is a battle between servants. The Holy Grail War is a battle between familiars of the highest order, heroic spirits, meaning that we mages can begin to approach. Servants. Familiars divided among 7 classes and roles, serving 7 masters. Supreme Familiars called forth by the Holy Grail itself. Familiar is really a misnomer for them. Familiars are supposed to be subservient minions who act on behalf of a mage. Normally you'd imagine something like a Puss in Boots, an elegant white bird, or a disobedient black dog, something like that. Those sorts of familiars are what typical mage can manage to command. Familiars are just that, from the Latin word for menial servants. It's inconceivable that a mascot used for menial labor would be stronger than its master. Servants are a different story. They're quite literally the most powerful examples of humanity. Even the 5 magicians wouldn't be able to control them. It's difficult to summon a servant, not because servants are more powerful than mages. Servants are beings that surpass magical magecraft itself. To be clear, servants are heroes of the past. Myths, legends, fables, histories. We call them glorious superhumans from our traditions, heroes, whether the tales are true or not. Immortalized by what humanity says about them, they cease to be merely human after death, and ascend to something greater. People who work miracles, who save the multitudes, who accomplish great feats, are elevated to the status of heroes, either in life or after death. They become a type of elemental we call heroic spirits, guardians of the human race. It doesn't matter whether they're historical people or characters from mythology. Heroes are created by the thoughts of the people. We imagine them as idols we wished they were, and treat them as if they were real. Objective truth is irrelevant. Fame and faith are sufficient to give form to these legends. They're humanity's ultimate ideals, the greatest among us. That's what it means to be a hero and a heroic spirit. Naturally, it's impossible for a mere human to control something greater than human. What mages usually do is borrow a portion of their power and imitate their feats. Summoning a complete heroic spirit is simply impossible. Yet the Holy Grail makes it possible. It allows us to summon these spirits in the flesh, and even bind them to our command. The sheer absurdity of its power of the Grail's omnipotence. That's how the heroic spirits are summoned from across time, whether from the age of gods or as recent as a century ago. The 7 heroic spirits serve and protect their 7 masters, and each master sends those servants out to defeat the enemy masters. It's a deathmatch between heroes of every age and every land. That's the story behind the ritual we call the Holy Grail War. Of course, there are limits to what the Grail can do. Even the Holy Grail can indiscriminately summon mythic beings akin to the elementals. Just as the form created by the people is required to materialize the 6th theoretical factor known as demons, heroic spirits need a material form to operate in this world. This is their temporary label, and the way they're allowed to exist in the world. The Holy Grail provides vessels that heroic spirits can easily materialize in, called classes, and only heroic spirits that fit these classes can be summoned. A class is like a passport that lets a heroic spirit visit the most modern era to act as a familiar. It's a material vessel they temporarily possess. There are 7 masters and 7 heroic spirits to serve them. And more! Because, you know, all the freaking extra classes. So many of them now. There's 7, right? Ruler, Adventurer, Moon Cancer, Alter Ego, Foreigner, Pretender, Beast, 7. And then there's also Voyager, 8, One Savior, 9. What else? Each is assigned as one of the 7 classes. Saber, the Knight of the Sword. Lancer, the Knight of the Spear. Archer, the Knight of the Bow. Rider, the Cavalier. Caster, the Mage. Assassin, the Silent Killer. Berserker, the Mad Warrior. Only heroic spirits with attributes corresponding to the 7 classes can be summoned to the modern world, and they become servants whom the masters command. That's the servant system. Humans summon and make contracts with heroic spirits beyond our ability to handle, all in hopes of winning the miracle beyond our ken. It is the greatest of battles that can only happen here in this land, like no other Holy Grail war. Now fight to the death! Ku Kulin versus BEEMYU. The duel reaches an even higher pitch. The short sword goes flying from Archer's hand after blocking one of Lancer's strikes. Lancer's skill is consummate. A seemingly straight thrust suddenly wiped into a disarming arc at Archer's wrist. It was an attack Archer couldn't have avoided, even if he saw it coming. There isn't an effective way to parry the spear with his sword. A forceful block is countered with an even keener strike. While defending with a minimal force will never create an opening to exploit. The clash between the sword and spear is shaping up to be an intense struggle to defeat an enemy outside of Archer's reach. Come on, Archer, do something! You're holding back. There's no hesitation in Lancer, even as he taunts Archer. He pauses from the constant pressure he puts on Archer. Does he intend to settle the duel in an instant? Lancer takes a firm stance, creating a fiery glare, with now an armed Archer. It happens in an instant. In the span of a breath, Lancer loses the flurry of blows at no less than a flash of light. Imperceptible. Forehead, neck, and heart. Spear moves to skewer all 3. And yet... Another flash of lightning counters the first I couldn't even follow. Archer's hand grabs a short sword once more. Like the weapon he used earlier, it's a Chinese sword, not dissimilar to a cleaver. The greatest difference between them is... he was going easy on him. Why didn't you do this from the start? Blade and blade. In each hand he grips a sword, each clearly meant to complement the other. Why you are freaking Archer? You're a saber. Are we ever gonna get an Emiya saber? Imagine that, they ever just make one. It's Emiya, 5-star Emiya saber. Wait, that's Muramasa. Lancer spear sings through the air. It becomes even faster as the hero Archer's turn death. Duel becomes a symphony of clashing blades. Two steel instruments play a resounding chorus, the sparks of their conflict rising to a never-ending crescendo. Their battle is like a vacuum. It sucks in all air around it, making me feel like I'd be cut if I even dare to approach. It all happened in an instant, really. But as I watched with bated breath, the moments seemed to stretch on. Lancer keeps his foe out of his fatal pocket, while Archer attempts to close the gap with a shield of dual swords. They're clashed over 100 times already, Archer losing a weapon each time. But instantly another sword appears in Archer's empty hand, and the Lancer is slightly driven back each time. Lancer finally acknowledges his miscalculation. He has no idea who he's fighting. But it would be a mistake to keep dismissing his opponent as a bowman. A space opens up between them. Lancer's put significantly distance between them. Maybe he intends to start over. That agility isn't normal. Archer's charge defies human ability. But he's sluggish next to Lancer. The swiftness of Lancer's retreat had the speed and grace of a leopard.
27 それだけ弾き飛ばしてもまだある
He has more and more and more. Lancer sounds irritated. Yeah. Keeps giving out more swords. Can you do that? Huh? Can't you just lose your freaking lance and get more? You can do that, right? What? If you lose your lance, you can't fight anymore? Oh, you get really mad. You only have one weapon. Actually, he sounds more confused than upset. I feel the same way. According to my father, servants typically only have one weapon. They're supposed to be singular relics of unimaginable power, not expendable items to be drawn over and over like Archer's doing. Servants are heroes whose spiritual rank are elevated to the magnitude of elementals or divine spirits after death. In a way, they're not unlike angels or demons. They're powerful familiars on their own, but their greatest strength is the mighty weapons that prove they're heroes. We call these magic items noble phantasms. They are the favorite weapon or armor that a servant used while he was the living hero, and is literally the servant's secret weapon. To a servant, a noble phantasm is a one-of-a-kind armament. It's a servant's indispensable ultimate weapon as well. The same goes for Lancer's spear. It can exhibit its power as a noble phantasm if he so chooses. A noble phantasm is a formidable weapon on its own, but its true power is expressed in invoking its true name. Heroes' weapons are known to have slain dragons and gods, to have conquered the earth. Servants activate noble phantasm with their own magical energy. It's not unlike magecraft actually. Servants use noble phantasm as catalysts to recreate the destruction from their legends. A noble phantasm is most certainly not a disposable tool. Archer has produced dozens of swords by now. Each seems like a masterwork unto itself, but they surely can't be his noble phantasm. He's an archer after all. His secret weapon must be some kind of bow.
どうしたランサー様子見とは君らしくないな先ほどの勢いはどこに行った
He's like, this isn't like you, what are you doing?
ちタヌキ
Tanuki? Just calling somebody a tanuki is an insult? Sneaky bastard, tanuki. The cause of Lancer's irritation is obvious. Lancer's been fighting a spearman, while Archer's been fighting him as a swordsman. Meaning that Archer hasn't revealed his cards yet. That must be frustrating to deal with.
いいぜ、聞いてやるよ。てめえどこの英雄だ？二頭使いの旧兵なぞ聞いたことがない。
そういう君は分かりやすいな。僧兵には最速の英雄が選ばれるというが、君はその中でもえりすぐりだ。これほどの宗師は世界に3人といまい。加えて獣のごとき敏捷さといえばおそらく1人。
ほう、よく言ったアーチャー。
For moments, the bloodlust is so strong I forget to breathe. Oh, he's gonna do it right now. Lancer's arms move. It's a deliberate stance without any of the nonchalance he's shown thus far. The spear tip dips, as if to puncture the ground, but Lancer's It's the first time I've had this kind of premonition, and hard as it is to believe, I don't doubt it for a second. If Lancer unleashes his spear, Archer will die. That's absolutely certain. As Lancer says, his spear means death. Archer will lose. Lancer will strike him right through the heart, and he'll die. Despite that, despite these premonitions, despite this insight, I can't even help Archer. I feel like if I so much as lift a finger, it will signal the beginning of the end. If there's a way to prevent Archer's defeat, then it can only be the sudden appearance of a third party whom we've all overlooked. Lancer's ferocity disappears. I heard the sound of someone running away. From behind, I can clearly make out a school uniform.
まだ学校に残ってたの？
そのようだな。おかげで命拾いしたが。
Archer answers coolly. Sure enough, the interruption did save her skin.
失敗した。ランサーに気を取られて周りの気配に気づかなかった。ってアーチャー、あんた何してんの？
見てわからないか。手が空いたから休んでいる。
んなわけないでしょ。ランサーはどうしたのよ。
He just leaves.
人影を追ったよ。目撃者だからな。おそらく消しに行ったのだろう。
For a moment, my thought grinded to a halt.
追ってアーチャー。私もすぐに追いつくから。
Archer pursues Lancer immediately.
くそ、なんて間抜け。
They're gonna die. That poor student's gonna die instead on your hands, Tosaka. Just kidding. I curse my own negligence. It's standard mage policy to eliminate witnesses. Until now, I've been careful not to allow anyone to see me as a mage, to avoid that scenario. What happened today, of all days? The night feels oppressive, not letting even the moonlight through. I find Archer standing over the body of a student, collapsed on the floor, terribly cold hallway. He looks wordlessly down at the students. An odor reaches my nose. The sight of a slowly pooling blood makes me realize that it is the smell of death.
追ってアーチャー。ランサーはマスターのところに戻るはず。せめて相手の顔ぐらい把握しないと割が合わない。
Archer goes off after Lancer. Only the fallen student and I remain on the corridor. I can't look at him in the eye. But I have to. This is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. Since I was young. Since I made up my mind to inherit the Tosaka legacy, I'm very prepared for this. Mages aren't governed by good or evil. I known all along that the path would be a bloody one.
ランサーの槍で一突きか。心臓やられてちゃ助からない。
I don't know how many seconds ago a lancer killed him. It's just a matter of whether he was unlucky enough to get stabbed through the heart. The blood loss isn't as bad as I would expect for a destroyed heart. So maybe the injury isn't too deep. It might not be too bad, but he's still screwed if his blood has been cut off to his brain. Though yeah, if his heart was wrecked, then he would have died instantly.
その割にはまだ死んでないってのはすごいな。
It's hard to hear, but just barely. My ears pick up faint breathing that might just be a death rattle. But it won't last more than a few seconds. I don't have the power to save him. I don't even have the way to heal my own wounds.
顔を見ないと。それぐらいはしなくちゃ。
I start to reach for the face of the prone figure when I realize that my fingers won't move. They're shaking. But why? I'm used to this. I made this choice countless times. I've lost so much thanks to my own mistakes, my own selfishness. That's why I've always been ready for this day to come. Then why? Why am I so angry at myself?
ごめんね。見とるぐらいはしてあげる。
I use cold logic to still my trembling fingers and legs, and check the fallen student's face. A great weight falls on me. It feels like I've been struck by a hammer.
やめてよね。なんだってあんたが。
I grind my teeth, no longer to brace myself against the shaking, but because I'm truly angry. Why did it have to be him? Why him especially? I'm not upset with Lancer for silencing witness, as a servant should. But at school today of all days, at this hour, you fool, why would you... Of all people... Sakura's face comes to mind. I'm sure she'll cry. Oh, that's right, Sakura's basically living with Emi right now. Oh no. If Emi really did die just now, like, I'd be so sad. And I find myself recalling a day after school some years ago. The sky glowed a distant red. A boy that always ran. And a silly girl watched him absently from afar. That boy got involved in something he shouldn't have, and now his corpse is in front of me. There's still a way. If I fail, I might lose my trump card. But there's a way to save him. No. I'll lose it whether this works or not, so the outcome is the same to me. This is a mistake. His impending death is a foregone conclusion. It's my fault for not paying enough attention to what is happening around me, and his fault for not having dumb luck to be here tonight. There's no need for me to go this far for him. My father, who left me with nothing to remember him by, did in fact leave me this heirloom to help me. It is a massive store of magical energy, meant to be a trump card that helps me win this war. A precious, precious treasure, just for...
だからなんだってのよ、バカ。やっちゃった。
The pendant in my hand gets lighter. My father's keepsake is nearly empty. With a clink, I drop it on the guy who was a second away from becoming a corpse.
仕方ないか。
She saved him. There really was no other way. I don't have the power or skill to bring someone back to life. Especially not someone with a destroyed heart, damaged blood vessels, and a bright death mere seconds away. All I can do is patch up his missing parts with brute force.
まだ息があるのが運の尽きだった。完全に死んでいたら、どんなに魔力の蓄えがあっても蘇生なんてできなかったし。
But if he's still alive, then I just need to help him the best I can.
失敗してたら目も当てられなかったけど、成功したからいいか。ええ、正直に言えば充実感あるしね。こういう経験も悪くはなかったわ。
No, really, I'm lying to myself.
行こう。済んだことは済んだこと。こいつが目を覚ます前に帰らないと。
Yeah, there isn't a point hanging around anymore. Archer's off tailing Lancer, so I should just go home. On the way home, I remember I left my father's memento at school. Though now it's just a pendant with all of its magical energy wrung dry.
もういいか。
Oh well. I don't suppose I need it anymore. It might have a little bit of energy left in it, but less than 10 gemstones I'm carrying. What father wanted was for me to have enough magical energy to win the Holy Grail War. Now that I use a resource up, its container doesn't mean much. I arrive home without announcing my return and plop down on the sofa. Archer still isn't back yet. I heave a tired sigh and listen to the clock tick for a few minutes.
いい加減頭を切り替えなくちゃ。あれだけの戦いを経験しておいて、何ほうけてるんだ私。
I have plenty to think about. The servant we encountered most of all. I finally watched the battle between servants, which, until today, I'd only known through about books.
ランサーか。宝具を使われそうになった時は焦ったけど、実際使ってたら正体は分かったのよね。
Learning a servant's identity is key to defeating a servant. With the exception of an idiot who doesn't know his own name, a servant's great weakness is their identity. Once you learn a servant's name and identity, then you can mostly deduce that her experience in Wolf Phantasm. It goes without saying that the servants are heroic spirits. They have legends associated with them. Unraveling their histories can reveal a lot about their abilities. Masters address servants by their class names to hide their true names. The more famous a hero, the more likely their weapons and weaknesses are to be known. A heroic spirit who has become a servant will never willingly divulge their identity. That knowledge is only reserved for their master. There's a tacit understanding that a master conceals their own servant's identity while trying to figure out the identities of the other servants, including this one. There have been 5 Holy Grail Wars thus far. Each servant's quality depends on the caliber of the summoned heroic spirit. Naturally, a famous hero, or one with a legendary weapon is powerful. Accordingly, it's difficult to summon such a heroic spirits. For that matter, a summoner needs a connection to the heroic spirit they're summoning, such as a weapon of the hero wielded during their lifetime. Even the Mage's Association with all the resources only has a few such items in its possession. That's why most mages, myself included, summon a heroic spirit with whom we have an affinity with. A servant's strength is determined by the caliber of the heroic spirits, or so the logic goes. But reality isn't so clear-cut. Even a superior heroic spirit might struggle when the classes in play are unfavorable. Class-specific abilities have a large impact on the outcome of a battle. Each of the 7 classes comes with additional abilities, and the interaction between these can allow one to triumph over the stronger opponent. To continue the example, it is said that great heroes were defeated by lesser-known heroes in each of the previous 4 wars. As far as I know, the best serving class is Saber. Saber fought until the very end in each of the 4 last wars. Saber, Lancer, and Archer are said to have formidable, powerful magic resistance. Magecraft isn't effective against these 3 classes. After all, the warriors from the ages of myth and legend, when magic was still prevalent. Spells cast by modern mages would probably fizzle out in contact. That's why the first 3 classes are considerably the most desirable. The other classes to watch for is Berserker. Heroic spirits summoned in this class lose their sanity. As its name suggests, they become crazy warriors and puppets of their masters, but they're strengthened beyond the powers they had in life. It is also worth noting that the stronger the servant is, the greater its burden it is on its master. In the past, masters who drew berserkers couldn't control their servants, and only self-destructed due to running out of magical energy. No exceptions. In the vast majority of cases, Holy Grail wars are won by summoning servants' abilities. Of course, there is plenty of ways for masters to win battles, but it basically comes down to fighting between servants. That's why a master needs to commit the utmost diligence and effort to summoning a servant. Discontented, I decided to come up with projections for the battle to come. For long, it's 11 PM. Yes, I fixed the clocks already. Archer comes home.
おかえりなさい。成果はどう？
すまない。失敗した。よほど用心深いマスターだったのだろう。少なくともこちら側の町にはランサーのマスターはいなかった。
Figures. Lancer was all alone, and his master didn't seem like the type to show him themselves.
そう。まあ簡単にはいかないわよね。
Everything can't go according to plan, so there's no use worrying over it. I'll just give up and treat tonight as a learning experience.
覇気がないな、マスター。いつもの伊勢はどうした？まさか、先の一戦でおじけづいたというのはなしだぞ。君が命じるのなら、今すぐにでもランサーとの再戦に赴いてもいい。
It's late though. Archer doesn't say it, but I can tell he thinks that that's the right course of action. Oh. I must look pretty depressed right now, huh?
そんなわけないでしょ。私が打って出ないのはね、単に無駄手間をしたくないだけなんだから。
無駄手間をしたくない？
だってまだマスターの数が揃ってないでしょ。今夜のはやむなしだったけど、開戦の合図があるまで戦わないわ。
そうか。君の父親もマスターだったのか。
Archer nods in understanding. Actually, he's making a rather mixed expression.
何よ、何か言いたいことでもあるの？あんた。
ああ、一つ聞き忘れていた。
Dependent?
リン。君は幼い頃からマスターになるべく育てられ、それに従ってきたのだろう。
当たり前じゃない。それはいきなりマスターに任命される魔術師もいるそうだけど、私は別よ。
そうだろう。なら、目的が党にあるはずだ。私はそれを聞き忘れていた。主の望みを知らなければ、私も剣を預けられない。リン。それで、君の願いは何だ？
Wait, I don't think I ever actually heard Ren's wish.
願い？そんなの別にないけど。
何
Archer's making a funny face.
そんなはずはあるまい。聖杯とは願いを叶える万能の杯だ。マスターになるということは聖杯を手に入れるということだというのに、叶える願いがないとはどういうことだ？
Archer drops all pretense. Ah, right. Once the Holy Grail is won, the victorious master's wish has nothing to do with the servant. But that's weird. Father mentioned that servants have their own wishes too, but that's their own business. It shouldn't matter to an archer whether or not I have a wish.
よし、明確な望みがないのであれば、漠然とした願いはどうだ。
Like conquering the world? Rin? Is the queen of the world? That sounds terrible.
なんで？世界なんて
Wait,
どこ
what do
に
you...
私のものじゃない。
The world already belongs to me. It's like, what the fuck?
あのね、あーちゃん。世界ってのはつまり自分を中心とした価値観でしょ？そんなものは生まれた時から私のものよ。そんな世界を支配しろって言うんなら、私はとっくに世界を支配している。
Archer looks at me with a strange expression. Man, he's stubborn.
バカな。聖杯とは望みを叶える力。現実の世界を手にできる力だぞ。
だって世界征服もめんどくさいし、そんな無駄なことを願っても仕方がないでしょ。あなた、割と想像力が貧困ね。
理解に苦しむな。それでは、何のために戦う？
What do you fight for? Why are you doing this? You could die at any moment.
そこに戦いがあるからよ、はーちゃん。ついでにもらえるものはもらっておく。聖杯がなんだかは知らないけど、いずれ欲しいものができたら使えばいいだけでしょ。人間生きていれば欲しいものなんて限りないんだし。
つまり君は？
ええ。ただ勝つために戦うの、あーちゃん。
This is who you're working for. No dicky backsies. Maybe he's fed up with me, but he finally relaxes.
参った。確かに君は私のマスターにふさわしい。
I don't know how to respond to comments like that, so I wish he stopped making them.
サーバントにマスターを選ぶ権利はないけど、一応聞いとく。なんで私が？
言うまでもない。君は間違いなく最強のマスターだ。使える相手としてこれ以上のものはない。
Strongest master.
そう。
Ellie's also pretty
あ
strong.
りがとう。あなたに言われるなら世辞ってわけじゃなさそうだし。
I turn away to hide my embarrassment. Archer usually acts like a smartass, so this sincerity is blindsiding me. Admittedly, I'm happy he feels this way. I've come to trust him and he's coming to trust me. I don't think this mutual sentiment is a bad thing.
さて、ならば一息入れようか。7人目のマスターが現れるにせよ。それは今すぐというわけでも。ちょっと待て、リン。君、あの飾りはどうした？
飾りってペンダントのこと？はあ、あれなら忘れてきちゃった。
それはそうだが、君がそう言うならいいが。
ええ、父さんの形見だけど、別に思い出はあれだけってわけじゃない。
よくはない。そこまで強くあることはないだろう、リン。
As he nags me, Archer holds out the pen I left at school.
拾いに行ってくれたんだ、あーちゃん。
もう忘れるな。それはリンにしか言え
Aw, he's blushing. Archer avoids eye contact as he passes the pendant to me, looking almost bashful.
そう。じゃあ、ありがとう。
To be honest, I'm not sure whether to be embarrassed or play it off as right now. The pendant is as I left it. As he thought, it really doesn't have any energy left. It's just an expensive jewel now that it's empty. But to put it in Archer's terms, maybe it still has meaning as a memento of my father, even without its power. I suppose I can laugh this off as a net win, since I spent my trump card to save someone's life.
って待った。
I jolted up in my seat. I wasn't thinking straight while I lamented what I lost. But as I pull myself together, it strikes me. He saw us, so I ought to alter his memories. Meanwhile, Lancer prioritized eliminating witnesses over fighting us. Lancer's thinking should reflect that of his master, which means, if a master who went out of their way to kill a witness finds out that he survived,
そんなやつ生かしておかない。
I stand up from the sofa. It's already been 3 hours. I might not make it in time, but I can't let this happen not after all the trouble I went through. Yeah, Kiro will definitely finish the job. I sprint through the night. Fortunately, I know where he lives. Not because I bothered to find out, but because someone I happen to know goes over to his place often. I've never been there personally.
全く余計な苦労を背負おうとしているぞ、君は。
Archer grabs in enthusiastically. It's going to be much of a struggle to rescue the guy, not as it was to save him earlier. It's midnight. The sky is shrouded in clouds. I arrive at an old samurai estate. The building closest to the house, outside, shows no signs of life. There aren't many neighboring houses, so it's unlikely anyone would come, even if they would notice something was amiss. My breath misses white. The wind picks up. It must be pretty strong because the clouds are starting to move. I find myself trembling despite the temperate Fuyuki weather, and a chill runs down my spine. People call Fuyuki a warm place, but you can feel the winter chill from the tabletops. The air is bitingly cold. The chill presses in and makes it hard to hear. In the midst of this air that seems conquered by the cold, I keenly sense the enemy.
さっきのサーバント。
I bite my lip. Something's on the other side of the outer wall. Lancer must have already infiltrated the house, waiting for its witness to come home to his death.
飛び越えて倒すしかない。その後のことはその時に考える。
Just as I'm about to go order Archer to go in, a flash. From the house emerges a radiant white light, bright as the sun. Its presence is all-consuming. The power radiating from Lancer is being washed away by the newcomer's even greater aura. An instantaneous explosion of ether gives the spirit physical form, and the summon being overpowers Lancer. All I can do now is whisper in awe, but the truth is staring me in the face. As if to prove the point, Lancer bounds over the wall, fleeing the compound. He's leaving? Like a dog with his tail between his legs. Hey Archer, is that one of your hypotheticals?
だがこれで7人。ついに数が揃ったぞ、リン。
Archer is calm. Meanwhile, my rational thought goes flying out the window. What happens next should have been obvious, but I'm not thinking straight. There's a strong gust of wind. The clouds cover the sky like an umbrella. Darkness shrouds the lightless outskirts of the town. A servant leaps over the wall and lands gracefully like an otherworldly bird. Archer reacts. I fail to even twitch in response. That's my fault. Fight ends even before the second passes. 1 second might not even be an instant to me, but it's a massive opening to a servant. A blade of wind closes in on me. Huh? Archer lunges in front of me, while the servant cuts him deeply. It really was just an instant. His archer so gracefully fended off Lancer's brutal assault, going down on one hit. I made it in time. Before the servant's next strike takes off Archer's head, I force him to retreat. Pain throbs in my right hand. I didn't know this actually happened in the anime. Archer just one-shotted by Saber. Because it was such an extreme order, it used up one of my command spells. I don't even remember. Now I only have one left. But this was for the best. It was worth losing a command spell or two to make sure Archer doesn't die. Without skipping a beat, the servant comes for me next. I pulled a wind-imbued topaz and feed magical energy directly into it without any extra steps. It's a cluster of wind spells that I've been feeding into the day after day, and they're enough to blow out away a house or two without leaving a trace? This is one of the 10 jewels I've been building up since the last 17 years, without skipping a single day. Even if I can't beat this thing with it, it should be enough to slow... Nope, not enough. Or not. It didn't work at all. The moment it touches the servant, what ought to have been a tempest that would hew apart anything in its path, disappears like a simple stone stage of magic trick. What terrifying magic resistance. Are you telling me that a mage doesn't have enough magical energy to hurt a servant? Oh no. My mage craft doesn't work, and if I've lost Archer's protection, I have no way to stop the servant. Even if I barely managed to dodge the first attack, I'm finished. I look up at the night sky. In it, I imagine a ruthless reaper coming for me, sprawled pitifully on the ground. Saber, just straight about to kill freaking Rin. And his sword is invisible. The wind blows. Through a break in the clouds, the moon peeks out through the spiral-like sky. The moon highlights her elegant profile. So this is the face of a servant who drove off Lancer, took down my archer in one blow, and shrugged off my magecraft like it was nothing. The girl's voice rings clear like a bell, and her voice is stuff of nightmares at this moment. The thought she stressed at me seems to shine. I know this is my dying moment. One glance is enough to figure that out. But this is the card I wish to draw. The sword-wielded hero said to be the most powerful servant. I look up at the moon, prepared to die. There's no room to beg for my life, no time to escape. With my death, Ren Tosaka's Holy Grail War would have ended on the third day. Do you think I go out hating my foe, feeling nothing but shame and regrets? But I don't feel like that way at all. Something's seriously wrong with me. I'm one moment away from certain death, and here I am, entranced by my killer. Yeah, it's frustrating to be sure, but there's nothing I can do about it now. The strongest servant is going to kill me. She looks all at once heartless, utterly noble, and so very beautiful. Oh, that was just a prologue. Oh wait, this is not a good idea. Well, you definitely know this is the sort of thing that will get like hit by the copyright. Bum 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 bum. Dun 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 dun. Oh, Sakura. Oh no. Trace on. What if I get an Emiya shirt? Nah, it's not me. What if I get my brother an Emiya shirt? That'd be pretty funny. Here, have this shirt. It's the freaking Emiya shirt. This looks way more epic. Bazooka. No magical resistance, right? Rider. Damn, who's... Definitely Sakura and Rider are the most favorite. Shinji, get the frick out of here. Dun. Where's Musashi? Medusa? Where's Medea? Fool. I think like 3 scenes. Alright, that's a good place to end it right there. And this point on, it's just the routes. Alright, this has been the Faded Woods Bureau, is now closing. Right, y'all have a good one, okay? When will I be the next stream? Tomorrow night? Probably. Alright, y'all have a good one, okay? See us.